Sorry, just realized. Once again, completely muted. Everybody's like, where's the audio? More technical difficulties. Welcome. We're good. No worries. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome if you're new. Appreciate you being here. Sorry about being muted there. I was too focused on the camera. I'm curious to see if we have more technical difficulties today. For those who tuned into yesterday's stream, once again, we had a major malfunction with the camera, and we'll see if it happens again today. I will say that when I finished up yesterday's stream, I did notice that my PC needed an update, a Windows update, security update of some kind, and I do wonder if that's what was causing it to malfunction. So I guess we'll find out. But just be prepared. You know, I just want to give everybody forewarning. At some point over the course of today's stream, the camera might crap out again. And, yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, appreciate you guys joining me today. Thank you for, waiting patiently for the intro to finish up. We have some topics to discuss today. We're talking about the PS5 Pro enhanced game count basically doubling since the time the Pro was officially revealed. We're talking about Marathon. Bungie has given a relatively significant, I don't know if it's that significant, but they gave us a development update and gave us some new information. We're also going to be talking about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle because the first round of previews actually came out today. And, you know, this is a game that is going to be making its way to PS5 in spring of 2025. So we'll go over that, see what's being said, and we'll just have some general discussion along the way as well. So before we dive into anything, I want to just thank everybody again for watching, and I want to give a shout out to anybody who can't catch the streams live, but if you watch them later, just want you to know I do appreciate the support and the viewership. I want to also ask you guys to take a moment to please hit that like button if you enjoy the content, or if you just want to help with YouTube's algorithm. Hitting that like button helps. There are a few ways you can support the channel directly. Number one, become a channel member. All right, you gain access to exclusive perks such as the Members Lounge and Morning with the Misses. People seem to enjoy both pieces of content, and you also get some exclusive gameplay streams as well. So consider becoming a member. If you're already a member, consider gifting memberships. All right, we're striving for a goal of 25. If we hit 25, we will feed the beast. We'll give boss his treats. Apparently, today is National Cat Day. All right, so I got the treats. I got the catnip. If we hit our goal today, we'll, I mean, you know, I'll be honest, since it's National Cat Day, they're going to get treats anyway, but, you know, still want to encourage you guys to try to hit that goal. The third way, drop a super chat, ask a question, give an opinion, make a statement, anything in between, and there is a direct donation link at the top of the chat as well, where you can basically treat it like a super chat, but 100% of what you donate goes towards the content creator. All right, but with that being said, guys, I want to go over the first topic here, which talks about the PS5 Pro having 80 plus enhanced games confirmed ahead of launch. This is reported by PlayStation Lifestyle. They say the list of PS5 Pro enhanced games continues to grow ahead of the console's launch next week, with more than 80 games now confirmed to be receiving the Pro treatment. More games are expected to join the list within the next week, ensuring that there's plenty to play for those who are upgrading. And what's really interesting about this list of games is the fact that if you compare this to the PS4 Pro, the PS4 Pro had like 40 games. So this is already over double the amount of games that are going to be ready, like, Jesus, boss, the day it actually comes out. I'm just going to give Boss a little bit of catnip now because he's already going nuts over it. Here, dude. Up here. All right, well, you have fun, boss. It is National Cat Day after all. Just immediately starts eating it. Michael Lynch with a $10 super chat says, if you have a camera malfunction, can you just continue talking? Yesterday you went on and on about it, totally derailing the subject. We can still hear you. We can still hear you, even if it freezes. Yeah, I mean, that's the plan today, right? Like, if that does happen, Michael, that's what I plan on doing. It definitely threw me off and completely derailed the conversation. So I do apologize for that, but yeah, I'll just continue talking. I'll throw something up on screen, and we'll just continue along with the topics. And yeah, so Michael, I appreciate the super chat, man, and yeah, I'll try to take these technical difficulties when they come up, take them in stride a little bit better. Ray, you're saying, hell yeah, just scored a 30th anniversary edition DualSense on that restock. Nice, dude. You don't have to apologize for all caps. That's great. Yeah, it was a bit surprising to hear that they were doing a restock. I didn't think they would. I think people were kind of hoping that they would do a restock for the 30th anniversary Pro, but yeah, it's just the PS5 Slim and the DualSense, which is still good, you know. But when we talk about the PS5 Pro and we talk about the amount of enhanced games, something I think that's absolutely worth pointing out here is when the PS5 Pro was first announced last month, there were only about 40 to 50 games that we knew about that, you know, Sony was saying, like, we're going to have between 40 and 50 games ready to go for the launch of the PS5 Pro. And within just about a month, right? Within just a little over a month, we're already looking at, you know, 80 plus games. So it just goes to show like how many developers are actually going out of their way to enhance their games and support the PS5 Pro. And I think it also goes to show just how easy this console apparently is to develop for and just to, you know, enable some of these upgrades. It's really nice to see. And Michael Lynch with another super chat. Thank you, buddy. You're saying they fixed that bug in Silent Hill 2 a few days ago. Now I can finally beat the game. I'm actually really glad to hear that, Michael. Yeah, that was a shame. I don't think you were the only one who experienced that game-breaking bug. I think there were others who ran into that problem. But I was saying I hope they're able to fix it soon because, yeah, having a game-breaking bug and something that straight up prevents you from being able to play the game and experience it and enjoy it, you know, that's like the worst thing that can happen. So I'm glad to hear that, Michael. And I did see somebody else in the chat saying they just beat it and they give it like an 8.5 out of 10. It's good to hear. Yeah, Silent Hill 2 is an awesome game. Definitely one of the better games of the year. No doubt about it. So good stuff, Michael. And thank you for the super chats, man. I do appreciate it. Ray, you're saying you happy you have the God of War Ragnarok DualSense and now the 30th? You just wish you'd picked up that Concord DualSense? Yeah, what are they going for now? They're probably really expensive. Hundreds of dollars. Jerry Gamer is saying, tried the Monster Hunter Wilds beta today, and its performance is a disaster. So I actually did play some of the Monster Hunter beta. I was kind of like wondering if I should talk about it or not because I didn't really play that much. I played for about like an hour and a half. And Alexander, you're asking, what article did you read this from, MBG? I can't find it. I got it from, if you're talking about the 80 plus enhanced PS5 Pro games, I got it from PlayStationLifestyle.com. 80 plus PS5 Pro games. And I was actually going to run down the list for you guys and give you the entire list in a moment. Just letting more people kind of file in. But yeah, hopefully you should be able to find it there. But yeah, I did play the Monster Hunter Wilds beta, and I think I was playing at I know I was playing at 30 FPS. For some reason, I don't know why. I just didn't think to look in for the performance mode. I was just too engrossed in trying to figure out how to play this game again because it's been years since I played Monster Hunter. I have to go check that out. But yeah, I don't know, man. Monster Hunter Wilds seems like it's struggling a bit, but what's worth noting is that we have quite a bit of time before it launches. So, I mean, I don't know how close to the final version the beta is right now, but this is where I just hope that something like the PS5 Pro, I mean, look, it's going to suck for base PS5 owners if this game just basically runs like shit in the performance mode and runs way, way better on the Pro. But at the same time, it's like this is something that's probably going to happen to a degree going further into this generation. You know, as developers are trying to kind of push the limits of what they can achieve, and especially in open world games, you know, we might start to, we've already kind of been seeing a recurring theme of performance struggles, and especially with like Unreal Engine 5 games. Not to say that Monster Hunter Wilds is an Unreal Engine 5 game, but it's definitely something that people are noticing and have been noticing. And it's going to be interesting, to say the least, to see what the PS5 Pro does for some of these games that are likely going to struggle, or some games. There's always games that struggle more than others. It's going to be interesting to see what the Pro does for them. And if Monster Hunter Wilds, assuming that what we're playing right now and, you know, the performance that we're getting right now, assuming it's not going to be that much different when it comes out in February, it could be. But assuming it's not, that's one of those games. You know, that's one of those games where I'm going to be really interested in kind of finding out, like, all right, what's it doing? You know, how much is it benefiting from the Pro? The Concord DualSense is like 300, 250 bucks. Sheesh. Nicodemus says, I got the special edition DualSense controller ordered. Nice. So two people in the chat today, they got their 30th anniversary DualSenses. That's awesome. I'm assuming both of you guys missed out the first time. Relying on the Pro for a game to run, tisk tisk. No, I know. I'm not saying it justifies the suboptimal performance or the poor optimization. It doesn't. But it's just like when we start to see it occur between a myriad of games and it becomes a more common occurrence, right? Like, at what point do we start to wonder, I mean, is it the base consoles are underpowered? Is it that the developers and what they're trying to achieve is just going too far beyond what these consoles can handle? But yeah, it is unfortunate. Like, we don't want to see because most people, regardless of what the Pro can do for games, most people are going to be playing on the base models. And so because of this, you know, it's very important for the developers to make sure that the base models run the games well enough, you know, as best as they can, because that's where most of your sales are going to be. The Pro is the light and savior. Yeah. Yeah, no, not according to the internet. The Pro is a scam. It's a scam. You're getting scammed. It's funny. I had this encounter today. I don't know why I'm calling it an encounter. It just sounds funny to word it that way. But I had an encounter today on Twitter where I posted out that the PS5 Pro is going to have 80 games that are PS5 Pro enhanced at launch, and then comparing it to the PS4 Pro. When the PS4 Pro launched, it had about 40 games, and somebody left a comment that I couldn't. I try not to reply. I try not to reply to you know, to a lot of people who are just clearly like haters or busting balls. But this person responded to that by saying, imagine shilling this trash, $700 to play PS4 games. And, you know, this reply gets some upvotes, and I'm like, what? Like, this is what I don't understand about people, man. Like, what are you talking about? I responded by saying no one is buying the PS5 Pro to just play PS4 games. I know this. You know this. Everyone knows this. I then went on to say that I said it to this person, you seem irrationally annoyed by an optional mid-gen refresh. Right? And of course, people don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. It's like, this is not worth getting this in order. Like, nobody's shilling here. Like, there are people who are interested in the Pro and there are people who are not. There's nothing to shill for. least in my opinion. But then this person says, I'm annoyed. If you PlayStation fanboys keep going out and buying consoles like this that will not include a stand or a disk drive, then what do you think is going to happen with the PlayStation 6? All Microsoft has to do is include a stand, a disk drive, and a disk drive with the next Xbox, and they win next gen. So you know what I said to this person? Chris, I can never tell anymore. You know what I said to this person in response? I said, okay, then let them win next gen. Buy an Xbox and send a message to Sony. But as for me, I'm going to buy the Pro because I like what I'm seeing. You get what I'm saying? Like, there is no, like, I don't think people expect to be responded to in this way, but like, I'm serious. If you don't want to see Sony continue down the path they're going, you should buy an Xbox. You should go buy one right now. But certainly when the next Xbox comes out, buy it. Buy 2. Buy 3 if you can afford it. Buy some for your friends and family. Send the message. But please, stop trying to make it seem like the people who are over here buying a different product that are excited for this product, and they have their own reasons for being excited for it, that we are the problem. That's the part that annoys me. It's like, there's no problem here. You know, it's an optional upgrade with, you know, you don't have to buy the stand. Look, I'm just saying nobody seems to ever say that. I'm not saying it makes it okay that Sony's not including it. I've complained about this numerous times. Sony should include the disk drive. They should include the stand, but they're not deal breakers. And I think people who act like it's a deal breaker, guess what? They were never going to buy the PS5 Pro to begin with. That's a fact. Nobody's out here being like, you know what? I was going to buy the Pro, but the fact that there's no stand, I'm not getting it. The fact that there's no disk drive, I'm not getting it. Nobody's doing that. That's just the reality. I'm not saying it makes it right. I'm just saying that's the truth. But nobody wants to mention that you do not need a stand to use the PS5 Pro. As far as I'm aware, anyway. It's not a requirement. You don't need it. And frankly, as much as I hate to say this, and this does pain me, you don't need a disk drive as well. I encourage physical media. I encourage having a disk drive. But the just brutal truth is that if somebody wants to buy a PS5 Pro, hook it up, and use it to play games, you don't have to spend any more than the $750. And I'm saying $750 with sales tax. At least I'm assuming it's $750, but $700, right? That's the truth. And people don't mention this. They don't talk about it. They completely overlook it because I don't know. I guess the reason is because the expectation is these things should be included. And I do understand that and I agree. But what about the person who says, you know what? I just want to buy the Pro and that's it. I don't need the disk drive. I don't need the stand. Is that person getting ripped off? I mean, isn't it up to that person to decide? Oh no, man. I don't mean to get so defensive again. And I know people, they don't like when I go when I go on the defensive side with the PS5 Pro, but it's just, I still see this stuff. You know, I still see where it's like, hey guys, we have double the amount of enhanced games to look forward to. And there's just somebody screaming. It's like, stop shilling. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I think people want to know, like the people who are going to be buying this console and using it for the next 3, 4, or 5 years, they're going to want to know how many games are going to be enhanced. And then you see other people too, where it's like, if they can't win that argument, the shilling argument and the fanboy argument, then they try to win the argument of, well, you're just going to play old games and PS4 games. And it's like, what about all the upcoming games over the next 6 months to a year that are going to be PS5 Pro enhanced? We're just going to ignore that. We're just going to pretend that new games aren't going to be PS5 Pro enhanced. Gotcha. Okay. People, I think, at this point are just getting a bit desperate, if I'm being honest. Like, to try to convince, I don't know if it's themselves or everybody else around them, that this thing is some kind of train wreck disaster that, you know, is going to cause the collapse of the gaming industry. And that's what I don't understand, is the hyperbole surrounding it. I don't get it, man. It's just, it's too much. Zizled, you're saying greetings. Funny thing is, if the Pro does well and base console doesn't, it's the developer's fault. If the Pro doesn't go well, it's because the console is bad. People will always complain. Absolutely. I mean, that's I guess maybe the problem I'm having right now is that I should just be able to look at this and realize that, yeah, people are always going to complain. People are always going to have something bad to say. You know what's really funny, actually, talking about the PS5 Pro once again, is in my video yesterday, for those of you, I don't know how many people here watched my video yesterday, my news video, but I talked about Spider-Man 2 and all the enhancements that Insomniac is bringing to Spider-Man 2. And one of the biggest enhancements they're bringing is they're going all out with ray tracing. They're offering like a bunch of different ray tracing options that you can toggle from. And we did cover it in the stream yesterday as well. But the top comment I saw on my channel from that video was somebody leaving a comment where they were like, Sony, nobody cares about ray tracing. We don't want ray tracing. We want native 4K, 60 FPS, you know, and they kind of went on this little rant, this little micro rant about Sony. And I guess what they're doing here with the ray tracing. And I had to reply to this person by being like, dude, what you just said you wanted, you're getting that. Like it was really just a kind of eye-opening moment for me where it's like, holy shit, people don't know what they're saying. There are people leaving these types of comments, and there are people supporting these comments, and there are people who are backing this up, and they don't realize that, guys, like, that's what you're getting. Now, granted, we just need to change the term native 4K. Native 4K means a native 4K resolution through raw pixel output, right? But that's why I try to I go out of my way to try to explain to people that, listen, Spider-Man 2 in performance mode is going to have what your eyeballs see, which is all that matters. What your eyes see, what is on screen, will replicate a native 4K image. You will not be able to call it native 4K because technically speaking, the internal pixel count is not native 4K. And even when it's being upscaled, it's probably still not going to be native 4K. But that's where the AI upscaling technology, it creates an image quality that is based. It sounds weird when you try to explain it, but that's what it's doing. So you're going to see essentially what will be a native 4K image running at 60 FPS with ray tracing. And that's what makes it comical to see those types of comments where it's like, don't you realize that what you're asking for and what you're telling Sony we need, they are delivering that? And it's very strange. It's a very strange situation. It's very strange to see how many people are just seemingly completely in the dark when it comes to understanding like what you're going to be getting. Saying very weird, still fake native 4K. I mean, sure, we could call it fake native 4K, but it's just like if you're sitting in front of a screen, right? If you're sitting in front of a screen and you're playing on the PS5 Pro and you were to be playing it at 60 FPS, and then you know, it's using PSSR, and then you compare. See, this is why like certain fidelity modes on the base PS5 do run at native 4K. And because of that, this is why we see some comparisons. Not many run at native 4K, but some of them do. And you see the comparisons where it's like, dude, the image quality, like if I'm not mistaken, The Last of Us Part 2 is a game. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on this, but The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered runs at native 4K in the fidelity mode. It runs at native 4K 30 FPS. When Digital Foundry did the comparison, they were noticing that the image quality that we were getting in the Pro mode at 60 FPS is actually higher. The overall image quality is higher than what we saw in some instances with the fidelity mode. So it's like, in a way, some of these games are going to go even beyond what you would expect with a native 4K image, where it actually looks somehow, some way even better. and even sharper. And this is what people, they just completely, they're screeching, I want native 4K 60 FPS, and it's all, you're just shilling for a scam console. And it's like they just completely ignore this stuff as if it means nothing. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Go buy an Xbox Series S then. Like I'm not saying that facetiously. If you want to send the message to Sony that you don't want pro consoles, that you don't want more expensive consoles, that you don't want this technology, that this technology doesn't matter to you, literally, you need to put your money where your mouth is. Go buy a Series S. Announce it on your social media. Let everybody know. Go buy a Switch, right? And then avoid the PS5. That's what you need to do. But don't be surprised if it doesn't really matter, because it turns out that this is where most things are going to be headed. I hate to break it to these people, but this technology, the AI upscaling technology, this isn't going anywhere. This is the future for game development. Anyway, I got a couple of super chats here. Waylark says, paying to play online is still trash. I do agree. What I would much prefer, and I think everybody could get behind this, what I would much prefer is to see Sony make PS Plus so valuable that they don't need to paywall multiplayer. You know what I mean? What they're providing with PS Plus is so valuable and so enticing that you'll just want to subscribe anyway. But yeah, that is, that's always a major sticking point with console gaming, where it's like you do have to pay to play online. And it does suck. And I'm not even, there's no defending that. But at the same time, it is what it is. And people like myself and many others, if you prefer to play on console and you do play multiplayer, you're probably just going to cough it up and be like, whatever. But, I'll be honest, I do take advantage of PlayStation Cloud Saves, which is another feature that people say shouldn't be paywalled. But on occasion, I do download some PlayStation Plus games and play them. It's not anywhere near enough to justify the yearly cost, but they demand higher FPS and ray tracing, but the moment a higher priced, more powerful console comes, they cry so much. Cacophonic. Oh, man. Using the term cacophonic. I love it. Hypocrisy and incongruent standards. Hey, Tarnished is just slicing and dicing with the words right now, bro. AZN Panda 510X with a $5 chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, LMAO, I have a PS5 disc drive, but never used it once. I just ordered the stand for now. Pro next week. Can't wait for my PSVR 2 getting better. Yeah, dude. I'll tell you, it is nice to see people expressing their excitement for the PS5 Pro, because I'm excited for it, right? And it's just cool to see that there are like-minded individuals who are, prefer to play on console. They've been playing on the PS5 for the last 4 years, and they're just feeling ready for something better, It's exciting. Who knows? Maybe it will I'm not trying to be a buzzkill. Maybe it will turn out to be disappointing. Maybe I'll boot it up and I'll play these games and I'll be like, man, I don't really notice any difference, But based off of what I've seen so far, I'm absolutely not expecting that. And I'll be honest, even if I held off on the PS5 Pro, I was going to get one anyway when GTA 6 comes out. So I just figured, you know what? I'll pull the trigger now. And even if not every single game I play takes advantage of it, I'll at least know that going forward, going into 2025, I'm assuming every game, every AAA game anyway, is going to have some level of PS5 Pro support. My day is going well so far. Thank you for asking. JuiceMan93, thank you for the $5 super chat. You're saying, ask PC players, do they enjoy paying this amount of rent for a graphics card that's good enough for only 2 years and still be bottlenecked by design? Shaking my head. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I mean is it's just like, I think the PS5 Pro is in this kind of like awkward position where it's getting a little bit too far away from what the traditional console player expects, like the non-enthusiast, but it's getting just close enough to the PC side, or even much closer to the PC side, that certain PC players, I think, start to feel a certain way about it. And it's kind of in that in-between spot, if you think about it, where it totally makes sense why the PS5 Pro wouldn't appeal to the majority of PlayStation players. But it also makes sense why the Pro wouldn't necessarily appeal to PC players either. The Pro, I think, what a lot of people maybe are not fully grasping, not you guys, but just more generally speaking, the Pro is meant to kind of appeal to a very specific audience. And it's doing just that. It is the enthusiast PlayStation player or the enthusiast console gamer. The person who doesn't want to go to PC for whatever reason, and I'm one of those. I don't want to go play on PC. There's nothing against it. It's just not where I want to go play my games. I like the console experience, but I also like the idea of having the best possible console experience I can have. And I'm okay with the idea of having to pay a little bit more for that, or maybe a lot more, depending on what exactly is being offered. And I think that this is where there's just this strange kind of reaction where it's like, well, why isn't this for me? You get what I mean? Like, there's this reaction of like, why isn't this for me? This should be for me. But it's like, okay, well, what do you expect to get? Well, I expect native 4K or, you know, a native 4K looking image, 60 FPS, maybe some more ray tracing. It's like, okay, that stuff's not going to come cheap. Doesn't come cheap for PC players. It's not going to come cheap for console players either. It's just not how it works. And I will say, listen, I will say this. I will give people some grace here. I do understand from a more general standpoint, expectation-wise, that, wait, hold on, I'm confused. I thought console prices were supposed to go down over time. And you're right. You're absolutely right. And that's why I can't really fully blame everybody for being surprised and maybe even a little bit upset. Where it's like, I don't get it. Last generation, the PS4 came down to $300 and the PS4 Pro was $400. What happened? And the reality is diminishing returns. The inability for console manufacturers to really shrink the consoles that much more, to shrink the dies. They're already about not as small as they can get, but it's just not realistic right now. Component cost, the economy. You know, there are just multiple factors that have prevented, and also the company's unwillingness. This goes for both Sony and Microsoft, and probably Nintendo too. The unwillingness to sell at a loss anymore. Because at this point, it's just simply too risky. There's no guarantee. I mean, there was really never a guarantee, but now there's even less of a guarantee that you'll be okay selling at a loss. The real world happened. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, a lot of circumstances outside of gaming, really. A lot of things have made it so that this is why it's unfolding this way. So I do understand the general argument of, you know, everything's just too expensive and the prices are going up. They should be going down. And that's the expectation. I get it. Our expectations have been subverted, if you want to look at it that way. Waylark, you're saying GeForce Now has been a game changer for me. Have a 7-year-old PC, but with it, I'm running every game on ultra settings now. And through Steam Deck, it's fire. That's crazy, Waylark. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard people talk about GeForce Now. I've never tried it. But I've heard really good things about it. I wonder how it compares to what Sony and Microsoft are doing in this regard. GeForce Now runs games much better than the PS5 Pro, but it is through cloud, correct? Unless there's something I'm missing. Jay Remy, bro. I'm sorry. I read that. It just caught me off guard slightly. Like, hold on, what? Am I seeing that right? We lost damn near 2 years. People are delusional. Silent Spartan with a super chat. Thank you, buddy. Saying, my only concern with the Pro is the noise level of the console. I hope they can keep it quiet like the base model. You know what? Yeah. The PS4 Pro was the most annoying sounding console I've ever heard. I mean, that thing was ridiculous, man. But I will say I think they have it under control this time. My expectation with the PS5 Pro is that it's going to be just as quiet, honestly, as the base model. I mean, maybe it could make some noise, but it'll be either way. If it's making some noise, it'll be very, very, very low. But I definitely do not expect a repeat of the PS4 Pro where, yeah, it's like a friggin' jet engine plane getting ready to take off. I mean, it was nonsensical, dude. Like, it was actually comical how loud that thing got. And sound like you have a whole freaking a whole AC unit next to you. But I'm fully expecting the PS5 Pro to be very quiet. And if it does make any noise, it's going to be just a very light, hardly hear it. Maybe a hum or something like that. I mean, my PC that's next to me can get loud sometimes. The fan really speeds up it. And I will say though, like my base PS5, shout out to the engineering team this time. I guess they really took it to heart with the situation that they ran into with the PS4 Pro and how loud it was. My PS5 has never like made a sound ever. Like I've never heard it. It's a launch model, and props to them for that because when you switch over from a console that sounds like a jet engine to a completely silent console, you notice. You definitely notice, and I appreciated that for like the first 6 months I played the PS5, I was like, this is amazing. Like I can't believe how silent it is. And so years have went by, and I've kind of taken that for granted now. But now that I'm thinking about the memories of playing on the PS4 Pro, I mean, it got so annoying at times that I would just put headphones on. Like I literally can't hear what's going on. Wild times. Did I ever clean out the dust inside the PS5? I did. Yeah. And I did change the power cable. My PS5 recently shut down, I think like 2 or 3 times, for no reason, or at least it seemed like for no reason. It wasn't an overheating shutdown. When the console overheats, I think it gives you a warning and it beeps 3 times to let you know that it's overheating. This was just like a shutdown, almost like if your power strip or if it just got like unplugged or something. And I had to like kind of mess around with the power cord. But the last time it happened, I just decided I'm gonna just replace the cord and see if that solves it. As of right now, it hasn't shut down. So I think maybe I just had a bad power cord or something. And Waylark with another super chat says, had coil whine on my launch PS5. I heard that was a problem for some of the launch PS5s. And I don't know what that sounds like, though. I mean, it sounds kind of annoying just to name it coil whine. What type of sound does that make? Is it just like a kind of high-pitched, I guess, like whining sound or something? And how loud was it? Like, was it so loud that it... I guess what I'm asking is it in any way, shape, or form comparable to what we heard with the PS4 Pro? Most of the launch day PS5s have incredibly loud power supply filtering capacitors, but they've improved them with each revision. The new ones are really silent. Really? I didn't even know that. It screams silently. That's kind of dark, you know? I don't know if I like the sound of that. Don't we all? Uh-oh. Things are taking a turn. People aren't ready for the PlayStation 6 being a $600 machine without a disc drive as the only bundle. I think, you know what I think is most likely if things don't change? When we talk about the PlayStation 6 and how much it's going to be, I think the most likely scenario is Sony actually does 2 models at launch and gives you the option. I really think that's what they're going to end up doing. If they like, if that's really the only way to have a cheaper, more affordable console, and it has the potential to create an Xbox Series S scenario, but I don't know. I don't know that as I'm thinking about that, if you go with a cheaper, more affordable PlayStation 6 model, how are you going to differentiate that from the PS5 Pro or even the base PS5? I don't know. I'm not saying I want them to go that route. I'm not sure what Sony's going to do, man. Like I've said, we're looking at a PlayStation 5 Pro that is $700, and a question that I will ask you guys is: do you see the PS5 Pro getting a price cut 2 years from now? Do you see it going down to $600? Do you see it going down to less than $600? I feel like these things are not going to happen, and so because of that, it's like, well, realistically, can we truly expect the PS6 to be a cheaper console than the Pro? But uncertain times, I will say that. Uncertain times. Could it be $600? It could. But, I mean, when the PS5 launched, it was $100 more expensive than the PS4 Pro. But it was substantially better than the PS4 Pro, like by far and away. So it's, one of these situations where maybe by the time the PS6 is ready to come out, it would have gotten like a price cut. But I don't know. Waylark, you're saying Microsoft sold more Series S's. Sony might look at that. They might. Well, the thing about the Series S, right, is that like they really had to make some significant compromises to be able to sell it at $300. They had to really make some significant compromises, and I don't know, man. We're looking at a moment in time where the PS5 can't go down in price because the cost of the components to build a PS5, that cost has not gone down. And so if the cost of these components does not go down over the next 3 to 4 years, then I think Sony is going to be in a bit of a bind potentially. Because one thing I'm pretty sure Sony's not going to do is sell the PS6 at a loss. I don't think they're going to do that, but I think it's also I'll be honest with you guys, it sounds unbelievable and unrealistic to me that Sony would charge $700 for a next generation console, because if they do that, people are not going to upgrade. Like, just flat out, they're not going to upgrade. They're going to stay where they are. I really believe that. I mean, like, Titus, you're saying PS6 will be $800 minimum without a disc drive. Like, at that point, what that means is Sony cannot rely on they cannot prioritize the console business anymore. If that's like what ends up happening, like we have no choice, we have to sell this console at $800 with no disc drive. The console business is no longer the priority for Sony because it simply can't be, because you're not going to get sales. Like, you will get initial sales and people upgrading, but you will hit a wall very quickly. But we're going to find out. Sony's general approach up until this point has been mass appeal. Maybe the next generation is the opposite of mass appeal. Maybe the next generation is just focus on the hardcore and get as much money from them as you can. Maybe that'll be the only strategy that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of factors that are up in the air right now, and we really won't know for a couple years, like what actually seems realistic. because a lot probably is going to change, and a lot certainly can change. Michael Lynch with a $5 chat says, of course the PS6 will be cheaper than the PS5 Pro. It's a system for the masses, not niche like the Pro. They want a lot of people buying it. Well, what's interesting about that, Michael, I agree with that line of thinking. Like the base model PlayStation 6 has to appeal to the masses. But the only problem with that line of thinking is the expectation is that the PS6 will certainly be better than the PS5 Pro. Right? Right? Like it has to be significantly better, or at least noticeably better. And that's what's going to make things kind of weird, is like if by the time 2027 rolls around, again, a lot could change, but if by the time 2027 rolls around, it's like, how much does it cost to manufacture a PS5 Pro? Well, I mean, we don't know how much it costs to actually manufacture it, but I don't know, man. It's a strange situation. We do need to take this into consideration as well, because I just thought about this. We don't know how much it costs to manufacture the PS5 Pro. For all we know, Sony could sell the Pro at $600 and be just fine. That's worth noting. They could sell the Pro at $600 and it would be just fine. They're not selling it at $600 because they want to make money off of it. Like they feel like we need to make some real profit here to make up for, it's a Concord tax. I don't know. Whatever reason, greed, Concord tax, you name it. But they probably could sell it at $600 and maybe they could sell it and break even. Maybe just make a tiny, tiny profit. And if that's the case, then it suddenly things change a bit, right? Because okay, if it costs like $580 or $590, $595, that's how much it costs to manufacture a PS5 Pro right now. How much will it cost to manufacture that same Pro by the year 2027? What if it only costs, I don't know, $535? So now you can drop the price. I don't know, man. I don't know what Sony's going to do. There's so many different, because yeah, that's the question I have, Michael, is how aggressive is Sony going to be with trying to win over the masses with the PlayStation 6? Says there's B Fletcher saying there's no way they're making 150 profit on every Pro unit. Yeah, that's probably too high. I don't know, man. I would actually say that Sony might be making, I could see them making like more than $80 in profit potentially, or $70, just like a high margin, man, like for every unit sold. I think they're trying to squeeze as much as they can out of the Pro. I think they're not really making a whole lot of profit off of the base PS5, and I think they figure like, look, the Pro is going to be an optional thing. At the very least, we know the enthusiasts are going to buy it. So let's make sure we can, if we can't, because think about it. If PS5 sales do slow down, what is Sony going to be able to say to like the shareholders to keep them calm? Well, hey, look, PS5 sales are down, but look at how much profit we're making. At the end of the day, that's what matters, right? So I think there's a rhyme and a reason for why they're doing this. I mean, I know it's like, it all maybe comes back down to corporate greed, but I don't think that's neither here nor there. It is what it is. But when you think about like why they would be trying to extract so much profit at one time, because this is the moment to do that. It doesn't hurt Sony if you don't buy a Pro. But they will make it so that if you do, it'll definitely help us. The way a base model console is positioned is, we don't want you buying this console to hurt us, but we also can't really make it profit focused. You get what I mean? The era of cheap hardware is over. Yeah, it'll be so weird, man, to see if that's true and both Sony and Microsoft are just like, yeah, we can't afford to sell cheap consoles anymore. It's going to be so weird to see that play out because people are going to lose their minds, dude. People are all, I mean, maybe this is why Sony, they're like $700. Like, we're just ripping the Band-Aid off, bro. Cry your heart out now. Get angry now. Rage now, because it'll be so much. It would have been so much worse if we just waited for the PlayStation 6 to drop a $700 price point on you, you know? Waylark, you're saying this is the price of progression. This is why Nintendo stayed out of these gen wars. Sony trying to sell economy cars with supercar performances. That will never work long term as PCs get more and more powerful and PlayStation struggles to stay leveled. All right, well, here's one for you. What if right now Sony is paying extremely close attention to every minute detail in regards to the reception of the PS5 Pro? Because what they're trying to figure out is, would it be okay if we didn't do a massive upgrade for the PlayStation 6? If we just basically made it incremental and not so much focused on, cutting edge hardware? Because if we do that, it's going to be mega expensive. If we don't do that, we can keep it affordable, more affordable. I do want, I don't know. See, I don't know if, but if that's true, then like, it's just going to look weird where it's like, so, I don't know. I do not envy the position Sony's in right now, dude, because they got some, I'm telling you, I'm so fascinated by it. Because when you talk about, well, what changed over the last 4 years? A lot. A lot. Maybe they'll do a super weak GPU because they'll have PSSR 2.0. That's where they save the money. That's where they will save all their money. Maybe. The Genius 200X, thank you for the $5 chat buddy. You're saying was able to grab the anniversary console and controller through PS Direct, along with Pro. That credit card charge coming next week is going to be fun. Yeah, dude, that's going to be a pretty penny. But congrats, man. You got both items today. So that's 3 people now. 2 people said that they got the DualSense, the 30th anniversary DualSense today, and now, Genius, you're saying you got the DualSense and the console. So good stuff, man. Good stuff. And you're getting a regular PS5 Pro. Well, there you go. You're set. Waylark, you're saying, but they've already set the bar high for themselves. Exactly. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of strategizing going on right now behind the closed doors at Sony. They're in the process of mapping things out, coming up with a strategy, a viable one. Like it's. I think, to be honest, the more I think about it, I don't know. We'll never really know if Jim Ryan was asked to step down or not. But even if he wasn't, it makes sense why he was like, I'm out. Because he probably saw, like, wait, we can't lower the price of the PS5. Shit. And then he probably just realized in that moment just how difficult navigating the next generation is really going to be. Because if that's true, right? If the age of affordable hardware and cheaper hardware is over, that truly screws Sony, because, like you're saying, Waylark, the expectation is already there. Like, do we really see a future where Sony comes out and is like, all right, guys, so we're going to like lessen the graphics. We're going to scale things back. I don't think they do that. But in this pursuit of maintaining this high bar, in this pursuit of having the pursuit of progression, right? The pursuit of progression, is it going to price people out? Is it going to price the masses out? And here's the only question that really needs to be answered. If Sony ends up pricing the masses out in the name of progression by having a cutting edge PlayStation 6, then what is their solution for the masses? I think that's the real question we need to ask ourselves, because that is very likely right now. Let's run a scenario for a moment. Let's say Sony already decided we're going all in with the PlayStation 6. It's going to be cutting edge, it's going to be expensive, and it's going to be hardcore. You know, like we're not messing around. Felt like I had like a bug crawling on my ear for a second there. Let's say that's what Sony decided on, right? See, OK was already thinking about this one. He's like, PlayStation will say their solution to the masses is the PS5. Ooh. So the opposite of believing in generations? Oh, no. But if that's what they decided on, then yeah, they need to. What is their solution? Is their solution the PS5? I mean, at that point, dude. Well, then, all right, and answer this question then, right? If that's what happens, where it's like, listen, we're going all in with the PlayStation 6. It's going to be hardcore. It's going to be expensive. We're pricing a lot of people out. Then how? Dude, I'm telling you, there's something on me right now, bro. What is that? I'm losing it. It's the ghost of Phil Spencer. Something straight up was crawling on me. End up being some big ass spider or some shit. I'm sorry, I got very distracted by whatever touched the back of my neck there. Moore's Law is Dead speculates the PS5 Pro's power is somewhere between the RTX 4070 and 4080. What? Are you sure? Sonny's latest podcast, 5820. I mean, that sounds pretty intense, dude. Shit, man. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sitting here thinking about this, where it's like, if Sony takes that approach where they're like, listen, man, the PS6 is iterative. I mean, do you even call it a PS6 then? If Sony's answer for the masses is, listen, if you don't want to spend $700 or $800 on a PS6, buy a PS5. We're still supporting it. We still get all our games. Cross-gen. If this is what they're doing, then the PS6 is going to be a failure of a console generation, sales-wise. It will not be able to do what the PS1, 2, 3, or even the 3 and the 4 and the 5 did. It just won't be able to do it. All right, here's another one. Here's another one. I got another one for you. Daniel Owens made an excellent video on this subject this morning. I'll try to keep that in mind. Remind me if you're still here at the end of the stream, Titus, because I'd be interested to watch a video about this. I feel like I'm the only one talking about it. Maybe I'm just not watching enough stuff. Mulan, you're saying you're not considering that 2030 will be a different world. Money and value won't be the same. PS6 will be $600 and the PS6 Pro will be $900. The PS6 will be better value than the Pro. Well, I will say I've been looking into what is expected to happen, at least in the US, in the coming years with hyperinflation, where everything is going to continue to get more expensive, but people will have like more money because this is what the U.S. Treasury is going to do. They're just going to do what they always do. Just print more money, print more money. We're going to solve this problem by just scaling up and up and up, regardless of the debt we're creating and how much we're devaluing the dollar. Apparently, that's seemingly what they're going to do. And so because of that, there's going to be this kind of illusion that you're making more money than ever. You know, you're making more money than ever, but everything's also going to be more expensive than ever. And so it just kind of evens out where it's like if you paid $400 for the PS4 Pro in 2016 and then you paid $500 for the PS5 in 2020, you're going to be paying like, $800 for a PS6 in 2030, but it's not going to feel bad because everybody's going to have more money, basically, you know? I don't know. Ask your grandparents what milk and stuff costs. Yeah, exactly. It's getting worse and worse, man. Look at the outdated Switch, same price. Dude, that money will not trickle down to people like us. You're probably right. You're probably right about that. I mean, yeah, this is where things get really murky. I mean, it's interesting when we talk about when we have this conversation about trying to predict what happens with the future of consoles and the next console generation, you begin to realize like how much the current economy and, you know, how bad it's getting. You begin to realize how much of an impact that's going to have. I saw people talking about if Trump does get elected, he talked about imposing like tariffs, and essentially what that would mean is console prices would be over, bro. Straight up. Like I was thinking about it. I'm like, if that happened, yeah, console gaming's over. Like it'll still be a thing, but Sony and Microsoft will, and maybe even Nintendo at that point, but you're talking about consoles being unbelievably expensive in the US. You know, the territory where both Sony and Microsoft, that's like the most important market for them. They don't manufacture their consoles in the US. They're imported. So if something like that happened, it's like, so not only are you talking about the price of this console being $700 or $800 just because of the components that are in it, but now you're talking about a potential tax on that we'd have to pay, which would be like, I don't know, an extra 100, an extra 200, an extra 300. And at that point, it's just like, holy shit. We would have went from you can buy a console for $500 to, it's going to cost like $900, $1,000. And listen, I know that sounds like no way to people, but if you look at the things that are going on and the potential outcomes, saying they would probably move their manufacturing to the US to lower prices. I mean, it would be kind of ironic in a way, because if I'm not mistaken, the reason why they don't already do that is because it's expensive. But yeah, if there are like tariffs in the future, if that makes it might make it so expensive that, it would make more logical sense. Like now we just need to manufacture them here. But the price is still going to go up. That's the kind of important part about that. But it's all in the name of profitability, you know? And if that happens, basically it's just another nail in the coffin of, well, this is what happens when you have a hardware-driven ecosystem. TMSC already said that chips from the U.S. plant will cost 50% more. And there you go. Moore's Law is Dead said that an ex-gamer told him that the PS5 Pro is getting above 4070 performance, so around 4070 super performance. Jesus. Well, you know what? Bro, at this point, maybe someone just says, fuck it. No PS6. There is no PS6. It's just the PS5 Pro. That's it. PS6 is coming in 2035. And even by then, you know what? Maybe never mind. No, I do think, truthfully, if in a more serious way here, the idea of the PS5 being the console, it's not as far-fetched as it seems at this point in time. Sony may have no choice, man. Sony may have no choice but to basically make it clear to the PlayStation fan base and the console market that the PlayStation 6 is an ultra premium, top tier, best of the best. You're going to be paying out your ass for it type of console. And if you don't want it, it's okay, because you can buy the Pro and the PS5 and all the games you're not going to miss out. Like, basically, Sony might have no choice but to do that. And that is the opposite of what people expect with a new console generation. People expect a lot of reasons, a lot of incentive to want to upgrade. And Sony might still be selling the PS5 at $500 in the year 2028. And if that's the case, it's just, this is how it's got to be. This is just how it's got to be, because it cannot work. And so what Sony at that point would do is, I don't know, they would even probably start combining PS6 sales and just add them on top of PS5 sales. Right? Like the PS6, it's going to be $1,000, it's going to be $800, whatever it's going to be. It's not going to sell nearly as well, so we're just going to add that right in. You know what? It's going to be the opposite. Jim Ryan says we believe in generations in 2020. 2028, you're going to get Herman Holst or Hideaki Nishina going to say we're done with generations. We're done. And people, to be honest, I would imagine that if that is the way it goes down, I think people would actually understand. I don't know that they would be super happy about it, but I think they would be understanding of, like, this isn't how anybody really wanted it to go down, but it's the only way it can go down without the console market completely tanking. How the heck are Xbox going to have their biggest technical upgrade by 2026 with the state of consoles? It has to be 800 to 1,000, right? Well, see, what's really interesting to me about what you're saying here, B-Flesher, is my only question is, what are Microsoft going to do with the Series S? Because I absolutely see Microsoft doing exactly what I just stated, where Microsoft already made it clear in the past, like, we're kind of done with generations, So the idea that their next Xbox is just an iterative thing, right? It's an iterative console, way more powerful in some ways, or in a lot of ways, than the Series X. But basically, the only thing I could conceivably see, all right, maybe this is what happens, and this makes things even more confusing because of the PS5 Pro. Maybe Xbox releases this next-gen Xbox console, but they make it clear that, like, it's an iteration. Cross-gen is here to stay, but just not with the Series S. Like, basically, they drop the Series S, and the Series X becomes the new Series S. And then that'll confuse the shit out of people, because it's like, wait, so is that your mid-gen refresh? But it's like, no, it's a new generation, but maybe not. No, maybe. What would we call that? Remove the term generation. It's not a new console generation. It's another console. It's just a new console. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's going to be messy as shit. Like, the more I think about it, the more I'm realizing this is going to be a nightmare. This is going to be this is a marketing nightmare, especially for Sony. I think it's maybe less so for Microsoft, because Microsoft already kind of positioned themselves over the last, like, 6 or 7 years as, like, yeah, we don't really believe in generations, and We want everybody playing everywhere all the time. For Sony, they've leaned into the more traditional, or at least they tried to lean in more so to the traditional console market. Just make the next gen consoles upgradable. But then it's a PC, right? Then it's a PC at that point. Yo, all right, come on. Sony ever going to make maybe that's the play, bro. Sony's going to make their own PCs with their own, and they're going to ship it with maybe Windows, but they're going to have their own launcher. I don't know. I mean, I don't know at that point. Could we maybe that's what they're going to do, bro. Sony's going to go crazy. They're like, listen, we're just going to make a family of hardware. PlayStation consoles, PlayStation PCs, PlayStation handhelds, PlayStation this, PlayStation that. Anything that is hardware based, there's going to be a PlayStation version of it. It sounds... Are you high? Well, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this for a little bit when I was kind of reading more about the Pro. Think about what Sony's doing with PSSR. Like, dude, PSSR is meant to take on PC component manufacturers. Think about that for just a moment. PSSR is meant to take on NVIDIA DLSS, and I mean, they worked on PSSR with AMD, so it's more of an indirect competition, but this is what they're doing. And this is the technology that's going to be able to essentially allow developers to be able to continue to make bigger and better games without having to compromise so much on those games due to hardware limitations. And I was just kind of thinking earlier, like, man, what is Sony's angle here? Like, does Sony want to try to make a move on the PC market eventually? Because if you think about it, the signs are there, man. Like, they're putting their games on PC more frequently. There was a job listing that they're working on their own launcher. Now they have PSSR, their own AI upscaling technology that is competing with NVIDIA DLSS. And I don't know. I'm just trying to think outside the box here. No pun intended. I'm just trying to think outside the box of like potential strategies that Sony could end up deploying in a world where the PS5 by the year 2027 is still $500. The PS5 Pro by the year 2028 is still $700. I just think we might be a bit surprised, maybe very surprised in some cases, at some of the decisions that Sony may end up making and some of the strategies they may end up kind of feeling like they have no choice but to lean into. Microsoft has been thinking outside the box. They are, yeah. It just, I don't know if it's working for them. Like, there is risk associated with it. But in the same way that Microsoft was forced, Sony may find themselves being forced as well. Sony has to be looking to a diversified future. Console is a very old school concept, or it will be in like 5 years. Well, all right, I have a question for you guys. I'm just curious what you think of this. Like, what do you think? What do you think about the idea of Sony? Like, I mean, well, Sony did make PCs before, to be clear. They did. They actually did make PCs. It's like the Sony Vaio. I'm just saying, what if they... Yeah, I don't know. It kind of makes no sense to brand a pre-built PC as a PlayStation because it's literally not. It's literally not a PlayStation. Like, a PlayStation is a console. It is a gaming, a dedicated gaming device. I don't know, man. I'm just thinking about the fact that Sony's making monitors now. You know, they got like a whole line of accessories for PC gamers now. It's just, it makes me wonder if they're seriously thinking like, bro, we're gonna have to diversify here, man, because the price of the PS5, we can't drop it. They're doing it now. Watch and see after the Pro hits the wild. Millions will migrate from their 368 gigabyte 1080p lives to whole console. The whole console less than what their upgrade would cost. Yeah, but there's the whole problem of Steam, you know? Because I think you're right. Like from a hardware perspective, I think the Pro offers, like if you're a PC, well, let's face it, that's a tough one. Because when you think about PC gaming, man, there's a duality to it where PC hardware component customization, buy what you want, upgrade what you want, spend as much or as little as you want. But then there's Steam. There's the storefront itself that, let's face it, like that's what PC players are tethered to. Because I do feel like from a hardware perspective, the Pro probably seems enticing, like $700 and it can do all that for games. But it doesn't come with Steam. Because I know PC players are like, I can use my PC for all these other things, but the reality is if you're a PC gamer, you the thing you care about probably most is the gaming aspect. And I think that's tethered to Steam. MVG, can you honestly imagine being a 40-year-old man, but you tell your wife you're going to go into the office and play an OC? Consoles are for men. Or I guess you meant to say PC. Need that sofa and ease of use. Consoles are for grown men. Damn it. Gaming PCs are for a desk and proper chair. You can't transfer digital rights from Steam to another console, from Steam to Xbox. It's against the law. Come on, people. All right, I got a question here. This is a really weird question, and it's a dumb hypothetical. But I'm just curious. I don't know how many PC players we have here. For any PC players that are here right now, how would your opinion of the PS5 Pro change if it shipped with Steam? That's like the only change. It ships with Steam. I don't know. I'm in fantasy land now. That wouldn't mean anything? You think so? Lone Wolf Gamer is saying MBG actually took the plunge and ordered Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to play it too, man. It's been a long time since I played the first Horizon. This is getting weird. Well, I'm just wondering because we did talk about the next generation Xbox basically shipping with Steam or announcing a partnership with Steam. And so, I don't know. If I could play my Steam games on it, it would make it much more enticing for me, especially with cloud save transfers. Were you saying that'd be great? If anyone has tried GeForce Now Ultimate, it's truly a game changer and a peek at the future of gaming. I might have to look into this. Like, I've heard of I've just never looked into GeForce Now. I mean, obviously that's not going to happen. Sony's not going to allow Steam, Sony's not going to bring another storefront onto the PlayStation console. But what happened with the camera? Did you fix it? It's been okay so far. So hopefully it stays that way. My PC needed an update. There's like a Windows security update it needed. So I updated it as soon as I ended the stream yesterday. And I could be wrong, but I think that may have been what was causing the problem. Well, I went like way off track with this conversation. But it's an interesting one. You know, it's one that I think when we talk about the PS5 Pro, the reason why I always feel like I fall into this kind of rabbit hole of talking about the PlayStation 6 and the next generation is because we've never really seen something like the PS5 Pro in the console space, and not only just in terms of what it can do performance wise, but the pricing and the rollout of it. And it does feel like it's our first real glimpse potentially into what we can expect from the next generation. And that's why I think it just naturally leads to this conversation of like, you know, what what is the future of the console market, and how much different is the next generation going to be compared to anything we've seen previously, for better or for worse. These are a lot of questions that, or there are a lot of questions that are not going to be answered anytime soon, unfortunately. We still have years to go, but yeah, it's definitely something that keeps popping up in my mind. No, okay, I did not do that yet. I'm never gonna do it. Never gonna do it. Where's boss? He's sleeping. He's like curled up. He ate a bunch of catnip and then went to sleep. Sony ends with console. What else can they do? Sony PC equipment would be too costly, just like all their other products. Yeah, I mean, what I could see Sony doing, and I guess this is where I'll wrap this portion of the conversation up because we do have some other topics to talk about. What I could see Sony doing ultimately is, like I said, they will have to put a focus on the PlayStation 6 generation. The focus will have to be on you know, not losing money on their console sales and trying to entice as much of the enthusiast or more core PlayStation fan to upgrade to the PS6 rather than staying, because Sony's going to be fighting many options. Here's why you don't want to buy an Xbox. Okay, maybe that's not too difficult because, you could say they already won that side of it. All right, here's why not to buy a Switch 2, but also here's why not to go to PC. But the hardest battle of all, Sony's going to have to fight themselves, man. Like, don't just stay on PS5. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge that Sony faces with the PS6 is convincing people to move on from the PS5. And it'll be really interesting to see how they plan to tackle that. All right. We do need to talk about Marathon. I'm going to put out a poll just because I'm curious. Boss looks so messed up. All right. I'm putting out a poll and I'm asking you guys, are you interested in Marathon? Yes, somewhat, or no? Yes is just clearly yes, you want it. It's something you're looking forward to. No, just not interested at all. And then somewhat, maybe. Breaking news, GTA 6 beta November 5th. Is that breaking news? Totally believable, bro. Um all right, so we do have a couple of things. All right, while you guys are voting for that, I want I want to point something out. I came across this randomly today, and it really kind of blew my mind a little bit. Well, it didn't blow my mind. I got to stop being so hyperbolic. It was extremely sus. It was extremely sus. I'm like, is that truly a coincidence? So what am I talking about? Talking about Dragon Age Veilguard. Obviously, there's a lot of discourse regarding this game right now. I have no interest in Dragon Age. I never did. I never played a Dragon Age game. I just never cared about the series. But I came across this post, and it was from... It's just a post on Twitter, and this person says, never trust game journalists. And what they did is they compiled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reviews of Dragon Age Veilguard from Metacritic. And they're scattered across platforms. There's 3 of these 5 reviews are on PS5. 2 of them, one is on PC and one is on Xbox Series X. And what's really weird about this, it's a little, I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit conspiratorial, but it's weird, dude. They basically underlined. So before I say this, do you guys know when you go on Metacritic and you look at the reviews, it gives you like the gist of it, right? The last summarization paragraph from each review. I'm gonna read these. I'm not gonna tell you what I noticed or what this person noticed. I'm gonna read these, and I want you to tell me if you can figure out what kind of stands out. All right. So I'm gonna read them in order. Checkpoint Gaming gives it a 10 out of 10. They say Dragon Age The Veilguard is a triumphant return to form for one of gaming's most loved developers. It's an epic and grandiose RPG adventure interwoven with intimate, powerful stories about its cast of endearing and quirky companions. It has a truly stunning world to explore with hidden secrets, alongside quests and a literal treasure, ... It continues. Review number 2 from PlayStation Universe, 9.5 out of 10. Dragon Age The Veilguard is a must-have RPG this holiday season. There is so much that Veilguard brings to the table that it's hard to find something to dislike. Veilguard is a complete package that gives you everything you could ever wish for in an action RPG, and without a doubt, a return to form for BioWare. Digital Trends gives it a 7 out of 10. They say Dragon Age The Veilguard is a return to form for this once lauded RPG studio that should satiate Dragon Age fans for quite well after a decade-long wait. But returning to form and perfecting form are not the same thing. BioWare has had plenty of room to regrow as it gets back on track, making the kinds of games RPG fans want to create. Review number 4 from IGN Portugal, 8 out of 10. Dragon Age The Veilguard is a return to form for BioWare. Assuming itself to be more of an action game, some RPG elements have been pushed into the background. As a result, the history of the world of Theodos mixes with the history of Solus and our companions in a plot that seems unappealing at first and blossoms in the middle of the game. Final review from Pure Xbox, giving it a 9 out of 10. Dragon Age The Veilguard is a triumphant return to form for BioWare. This is a top-class action RPG that lives up to the Dragon Age name whilst laying to rest the ghosts of Mass Effect. So, anybody figure out what's kind of weird about these reviews? Whilst. Did I say whilst? Whilst. Somebody got it. Return to form. Yeah, so you notice how the ending paragraph for all 5 of these reviews specifically use the phrase return to form. Specifically, it's a return to form for BioWare. This is inserted in all 5 of these reviews, specifically at the end of each review. That's, dude, look, I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm just saying I came across that and I thought that was weird as shit. I thought that was absolutely weird as shit. And I'm like, they used AI to write the review. So yeah, it's either they used AI to write the review or they were basically told by EA to say this. But no, it's probably, I'm leaning more towards the AI thing because yeah, it's so. Saying that's a very common phrase in reviews, though. I mean, it is, but it seems so weird, man. Like, it's the placement of it too. It's the fact that like these are 5 reviews that all have the exact same phrase in the same section of their review in the final paragraph. Like maybe it is a coincidence. Maybe it is, but I don't know, man. We are in spooky season. Yeah, it's creepy. It's spooky. When The Last of Us Part 3 review says return to form, well, no. Yeah, we'll return to this years from now. Confirmation bias since they handpicked those ones. Yeah, it could be that. It could be that. Because maybe they're all just creatively bankrupt. It could just be that out of all the reviews, there was like 5 of them where like, yeah, they used Chat GPT or just they all happen to use the same phrase. I don't know. I just thought it was a little weird. But my God, what is going on with Dragon Age, bro? I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like I'm not here to rant about it or anything because I don't have it in me because I don't care. Like I've never had interest in Dragon Age, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I ever did. But what I will say is I've come across some stuff on my Twitter feed that when I saw it, I legitimately was like, oh, that's photoshopped. And then I found out, like, no, that's not photoshopped. Like, this is real and in the game. Whether it's like dialogue or just certain things in the game that I'm like, what is happening? What is happening in this industry, dude? Where like, disturbing. But one of the things that I noticed Dragon Age Veilguard is being heavily criticized for is bad writing. And I did come across a couple of clips where people were like making fun of it, like aggressively, like, dude, this sounds like who wrote this shit? And I was listening to it and I'm like, all right, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Like it was kind of ridiculous. But Michael Lynch with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. You're saying it's like today's movies. Youth will like it, but older people are used to a certain level of quality, and today's stuff doesn't hold up. Just crap. I mean, it does start to feel like that in a lot of cases. I don't want to say everything's crap. Like, I don't know. Maybe there are some things that are crap that I do enjoy. Maybe that's what it comes down to. But it is disheartening to see that. I mean, Dragon Age Veilguard specifically seems to be creating a lot of discourse for it. It falls into the category once again of like, identity politics in games and people self-inserting and kind of beating you over the head with shit that it's just tiring and it's like, are we not done with this yet? And I see that. I see that people are pointing that out. And boss, did you just bite? Don't do that. And it is disheartening. It is, because it's like we need to. I understand where people come. We're like, oh, maybe people are just making too big of a deal of it. But I don't know, man. Some of the stuff I see, it's just like, a lot of it does feel like it's really aggressively being inserted to a degree where it's like, all right, you sure this is gonna make your game better? Like, you sure? It's like, yes, yes, it will. Hicksock, you're saying only positive and woke previews got the Dragon Age codes. I heard that people were mentioning Skill Up, saying that he basically tore it to shreds. And yeah, I mean, there's like a whole community defending the game as well. There are like communities that are kind of, I don't know, like it's just one of these things where it's like, I feel like I'm on the outside looking in at this point with at least this game, and I'm like, man, what is happening these days with video games? Like, what happened to the good old days? Sage Infinite, thank you so much for that, buddy. Sage Infinite re-upped his membership. Coming back to greatness awaits. Sage, I appreciate that support, man. Thank you. Thank you for being a member. Watch his review, MVG. It's great. See, dude, that's the thing. I don't know that I care enough. Like, I see people kind of like fighting and arguing, like, is the game going to succeed? Is it not? Is it going to fail? And a lot of people want the game to fail to send a clear message to the industry and stuff. And it's like, well, I don't know how. I don't know. I feel like it would be unfair of me to say what I want the game to do, because dude, this Dragon Age game could be the best thing ever made, the worst thing ever made, and I wouldn't know because I don't play Dragon Age. But it does seem like this is another game that has come out that, you know, it's leaning into the, if it's not leaning into the political side of things, it's making people argue. MBG watched Skillup's video on it, maybe like 10 minutes. I don't know. Is it that good? Maybe I will. I got to admit, I'm like morbidly curious. Let me see. Is it long? Oh, holy shit. I'll watch a little bit of it, but 46 minutes. I'm not watching 46 minutes. I watch a couple minutes, react to it. It's probably, you know, I think it's only fair that I do, because I've been seeing so many people talk about this, and I feel like I'm just on the outside looking in. Like, I don't know. Like, is it good? Is it bad? What are people really saying about this game? Let me just get it set up here for a moment. Sorry, all my tabs here are messed up from yesterday. I have to reset this up. I have to get it set up again. One moment, please. Wow, this is okay. This is not working for some reason. Sorry, guys. Just bear with me for a moment, because this is something I'm going to have to sort out anyway. I don't know why it's not working. All right, I think. There we go. this down. All right, sorry about that. I didn't mean for that to take so long. But let me make sure the desktop audio is coming through. Brilliant. And let me just pop out the chat.
Pick up a new skill or just learn more about things like science, math, engineering, computer science, and so much more thanks to Brilliant's accessible and interactive courses. Try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for 30 days and get 20% off an annual subscription. Reviews are opinions. This is my opinion and my opinion only. I expect that there will be a broad range of opinions on Dragon Age the Valguard, and I encourage you to seek them out. I do not have a monopoly on truth. As I've said many times before, I'm just a nerd.
Wait, hold on. Are you serious? Firewalk just got shut down? What? No way. I am shocked. No, it's breaking. Sony is shutting down Firewalk Studios. God damn. Well, is this official? Where's this coming from? I just read it from Jason Schreier. Is Jason Schreier the one who broke it? Hold on. I'm gonna put this out here. That's crazy. I mean, it's not crazy, but it just feels crazy because it's like it's just coming out of nowhere. Like in terms of just, random Tuesday afternoon announcement. I'm just trying to see if there's an official announcement or if it's just coming from Jason Schreier. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not saying I don't trust Jason Schreier. Obviously, if he says it, it's happening. But like, I'm just wondering if Sony announced it themselves because I'm like really curious what they would have to say. Damn. Dude, this is why sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to like not stream at a time and just wait for breaking news and then immediately stream as soon as the breaking news happens. Developing news, Concord developer Firewalk shut down by Sony. Let's see. What does the article say? That's it. That's the article based on Jason Schreier. Okay, so Jason Schreier, I guess, is the one breaking it. I guess it's going to be announced then, like any minute now, or maybe in a couple hours or something. Well, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, look, I don't know what to do now. I feel like this is Sony just announced it. All right, hold on. Why is it not showing up for me, bro? Like, I'm getting annoyed. Is it not on Twitter? I think only my mods can link it. It's not on PlayStation's website. It's on SIE's website. Okay. I'll just Google it then. Maybe I can. Hold on. I just have too many tabs open. Sony has also closed Neon Koi. They just Sony just shut down 2 fucking studios. Wario64. Sony has closed Neon Koi and Firewalk Studios. Concord is permanently shut down. Dear team, today I want to share some important updates from Sony Interactive Entertainment Studio Business Group. We consistently evaluate our games portfolio and status of our projects to ensure we are meeting near and long-term business priorities. As part of our ongoing efforts to strengthen SIE's studio business, we've had to make a difficult decision relating to 2 of our studios, Neon Koi and Firewalk Studios. Expanding beyond PlayStation devices and crafting engaging online experiences alongside our single-player games are key focal areas for us as we evolve our revenue streams. We need to be strategic, though, in bringing our games to new platforms and recognize when our games fall short of meeting player expectations. While mobile remains a priority growth area for the studio business, we are in the very early stage of our mobile efforts. To achieve success in this area, we need to concentrate on titles that are in line with PlayStation Studios' pedigree and have the potential to reach more players globally. With this refocused approach, Neon Koi will close, and its mobile action game will not be moving forward. I want to express my gratitude. How much you want to bet it was a mobile version of Concord? I want to express my gratitude to everyone at Neon Koi for their hard work and endless passion to innovate. Regarding Firewalk, as announced in early September, certain aspects of Concord were exceptional, but others did not land. Bro, I'm just got to say, who wrote, is this from Herman Hulst? Yeah, this is from Herman Hulst. This is an internal email from Herman Hulst. I love how Herman's he's not over it, bro. He's like, some of these aspects were exceptional. What aspect, Herman, was exceptional? I would really, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be so critical, but I would just really like to have him elaborate and tell me what aspect of Concord exactly was exceptional, but others did not land with enough players. And as a result, we took the game offline. We've spent considerable time these past few months exploring all of our options. After much thought, we have determined that the best path forward is to permanently sunset the game and close the studio. I want to thank all of Firewalk for their craftsmanship, creative spirit, and dedication. The PvP first-person shooter genre is a competitive space that's continuously evolving, and unfortunately, we did not hit our targets with this title. We will take the lessons learned from Concord and continue to advance our live service capabilities to deliver future growth in this area. I know none of this is easy news to hear, particularly with colleagues and friends departing SIE. Both decisions were given serious thought, and ultimately we feel they are the right ones to strengthen the organization. Neon Koi and Firewalk were home to many talented individuals, and we will work to find placement for some of those impacted within our global community of studios where possible. I'm a big believer in the benefits of embracing creative experimentation and developing new IP. However, growing through sustainable financials, especially in a challenged economic environment, is critical. While today is a difficult day, there's much to look forward to in the months ahead from the studio business group and our teams. I remain confident that we are building a resilient and capable organization driven by creating unforgettable entertainment experiences, not exercises, for our players. Thank you for your continued support. So that's an internal email that Herman Holst sent to everybody. Well, that escalated quickly. Sony have become cold. No, this had to happen, man. Sorry. Like, obviously, I feel bad for the devs. You know, I don't. This is not a matter of cheering on people losing their jobs. I feel really bad about that. That sucks, and I genuinely hope that for the people whose hearts were in the right place, you know, for people who they just really did want to make a good game, and that's it. I hope they land on their feet, you know, and I'll even extend this to the people who are responsible for this. Let me just get. I'll come back to this. The people who are responsible for Concord, and I'm talking about the people who are in leadership roles. I really hope that everybody in the industry right now is taking a good hard look. This is what happens when you allow the wrong people to steer the ship and to create an environment of delusion. When you can't say anything bad about the game, you can't be critical towards the game. The game is too big to fail. We're too good to fail. And you know, the workplace, from what we were told, becomes in some instances uncomfortable because of this toxic positivity mindset that leads to, I don't know, it apparently was discovered in the credits that this professor person exists or whatever, where it's like, I just hope valuable lessons are learned here. And I said this when I was hardcore ranting about Concord over the past couple of months. We need mature, balanced adults in positions of leadership. That truthfully extends well beyond games at this point. But that seems to be a very common thing these days, where we're just getting the wrong types of people, and they're being put in positions of power in leadership roles where they have important decisions to make, and they make some of the worst decisions that are so obviously bad. Is this go woke, go broke? This is worse than that, I would say. Concord is such an extreme example where I think a lot of games and a lot of studios and a lot of products and businesses can survive going woke. But as I've said before, Concord was flawed from top to bottom, in the sense that, you know, obviously there's woke ideology. There's a lot of different aspects surrounding Concord where you can just get a feel for not everybody that worked at the studio, but some of the types of people that worked on this game, where it's like, okay, yeah, I see where your priorities lie. But Concord also is just, it failed because there was nothing. The biggest concern for PlayStation CEO Herman Holst, in my opinion, is that this man saw this game and thought, this is fucking awesome. This is the next thing, dude. This is amazing. And no part of him thought to himself, could this be possibly one of the most generic things ever made? You're saying not another Concord rant? Bro, the studio got shut down. Are you kidding me, Dan? Come on. If there's ever a time to have a Concord rant, there's probably going to be another one tomorrow. But that's the thing that gets me about a game like Concord. It's not, sure, okay, like there's woke ideology, there's weird stuff going on at the studio in terms of like the type of shit that people want to put in this game, whatever. You have robots with pronouns. That's fucking stupid, but okay, I guess if you really feel like you need to do that. But that's not really, that's a huge part of the problem. Like that was basically the nail in the coffin, right? But really it's just recall the first time we saw the gameplay trailer. Hey, that's not true. I played Monster Hunter Wilds this morning, Dominic. I could do it all. I can play Monster Hunter Wilds and I can rant. Was that confirmed? Yeah, it's been officially confirmed that Firewall was shut down. But listen, man, I ultimately hope that there's some guilt right now. I do. So people understand, like, you got to. Oh, if you guys need confirmation that I tried the Monster Hunter Wilds beta, Mrs. MBG was here, and I called her in because I created my, is it Palico? Is that what they're called? And I made Luna. But I hope that there's at least a little bit of guilt. Not a lot. I don't want to see people like, I don't want to see their lives ruined by guilt or anything like that. I'm not wishing that, but I'm just saying a bit, at the very, some accountability. Guilt's the wrong word, but just accountability and understanding like this could have been prevented, man. Like it could have been prevented. And the way in which it would have been prevented is by not being in a fucking bubble and being able to just like wake up and realize like, dude, people don't fucking want this. And it's not hard to figure that out. You're 8 years late. You made one of the most generic looking things out there. People needed to be scolded. If not scolded, like the fucking hammer had to come down. A fucking big dose of reality. Guess what? Your game fucking sucks. Guess what? Your characters fucking suck. I know it's brutal and I know it's like probably would hurt people's feelings, but it's like this is the result when you can't do that. When you can't tell somebody, no, we're not fucking worried about you wanting to be called professor. We're worried about making a good video game so people don't lose their fucking jobs. We're not worried, about fucking robot pronouns. We're worried about making a good fucking game. Because if we don't, it's going to fail. Hundreds of millions of dollars went into this. And if this fails, we're all fucked. Every one of us. That's what we need. That's called being an adult. That's called being mature and understanding that we're not here to dick around and worry about woke ideology or fucking shit game. Like, it's just so disturbing to think that so much care and so much effort went into like, well, we need to make sure that, the game is it's all about the inclusivity and shit. Like we got to make sure it's appealing to everybody and it's a game for everybody and it's got the most diversity. It's like, maybe you should focus on making sure, I don't know, your game's fucking fun to play first. Like actually fun. Like, did you play test this at all? This is what is disturbing to me because it's just everything I've heard about Concord and its development is like, how is this possible? Like I've heard of failure and I've seen failure, but how is failure on this level even possible? How deluded do you have to be? I'm not saying that the game had to be perfect, but I just would have never thought in a million years, bro. I remember when, and I know a lot of you guys were here too. A lot of you guys were here. We saw the official reveal of Concord. It's like a 60-second CG trailer where we're all kind of looking at each other like, I maybe. I don't know. What kind of game is this? And then we hear it's a shooter, 5v5, and then like a year goes by and we hear nothing. And then we finally find out, oh, we're gonna get some we're gonna get some gameplay. And then they show the gameplay and everybody's looking at it like, well, what the fuck did I just witness? That looks, and this is, it's like, fuck, man. They fucked around and they found out. And I don't want to be like too nasty about it, but it's just like, all right, Sony, how are you feeling about Killzone now? How are you feeling about SOCOM now? Oh, you're too afraid these games aren't going to find an audience. We're not going to be able to fucking, we're not going to be able to appeal to everybody and the younger audience and the people who like the fucking. We need to make sure everybody can come play this game. How bad do these games sound now? Because you know what? This wouldn't have happened. You make a fucking SOCOM, you wouldn't be shutting that studio down. Guaranteed. You make a fucking Killzone, you wouldn't be shutting that studio down. I'm not saying the game would be a mega hit, but you wouldn't be looking at this. This is the worst possible outcome. This is the worst. You know what? Fuck it. Screw SOCOM, screw Killzone. Don't make any of those games. Make a new IP, but make it something, I don't know, something that's not a fucking 5v5 hero shooter that's main draw is look at how fucking quirky our characters are. It's definitely not Guardians of the Galaxy from Temu. You could have done any of these things, literally any of these things, and this would not have been the outcome. Maybe the game still could have failed. Maybe it would have failed to find the biggest audience, but you know what? This is the worst of the worst. And I fucking, like I said, man, I'm just going on such a rant because Sony's got to learn, dude. And it's not just Sony. The industry's got to fucking learn. These people who are in charge making these decisions, I'm not saying I expect perfection. Nobody expects perfection. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be flaws. But this is pathetic. People crucify me all the time for being a PlayStation fanboy, and I'm cool with everything they do, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? The truth is, this is the most embarrassing thing I think I've ever seen from Sony. And I know they had the whole 2011 hack, and maybe you could say that takes the cake. That takes the crown. But this is humiliating and pathetic. You go out of your way, you buy a studio, you hype everybody up. You say, we bought this studio. We didn't buy a studio. We partnered with the studio because we love what they're making. Wait until you see what they're making. You're going to love it. And actually, we love it so much, we're going to buy the fucking studio. This is an expensive-ass studio in Washington with 150 devs, but we're going to buy them, and we're going to take them on, and wait till you see this game, man. This is going to be the game that you've been waiting for. This is the game that's going to make you believe in live service. We're going to have early paid early access. If you pre-order it, we're going to have the most quirky, interesting characters with the funniest dialogue. We're going to have weekly vignettes. We're going to have it all. We're going to have a specific controller, or like a limited edition controller for a game that has not proven anything. We're going to go all in with this. And now look, this is the result. And it didn't have to be this way. If somebody was willing to just not cover their ears and say, this game is the best, I don't want to hear it. Somebody was willing to listen to some actual real feedback from a grown adult, this whole disaster could have been averted. I'm not saying money wouldn't have been lost. Money would have been lost. But this outcome could have been avoided. And I just hope that this serves as an example of be careful. Be careful. Look, man, I'm not gonna say the words because I don't want the stream to get demonetized. But it's like I think of Robert Downey Jr.'s character from Tropic Thunder, Sergeant Osiris. And I feel like Ben Stiller's character is basically Concord, basically Herman Hulst, whatever. Yeah, you don't go full, bro. You don't do it. And you did it with Concord. So sad, man. But so let me ask you, how do you think Haven Studio is feeling right about now? How do you think Haven's feeling? Oh, and Wabu dude, I'm sorry, I got your super chat. You're saying Jade Raymond and there you go, perfect timing. Jade Raymond and the Haven team are under intense pressure. I'm not excited for Fair Games, but I hope it's great for its intended audience. Rich Rod with a direct donation says, minus the woke nonsense, I do hope they keep some devs. The gunplay in Concord was actually above average. Assign them somewhere else. Colt, you ugly. Well, I mean, listen, for as brutal as my rant is, I do have to say, and because I've said this multiple times, that the bones of the game, this is why I said I feel bad for the developers. Like, you can tell there were developers at Firewalk that just, they know what they're doing in terms of like, can you create a game that can you just create a character that has an assault rifle that it feels good to shoot that rifle? It feels good to shoot and to move. Yeah, like they could do that. But that's about it. And I do agree with what you're saying here, where like there are people who have this understanding of how to make certain mechanics and certain things feel good. But it's just unfortunate that it's like it doesn't matter, because when you take that one piece and put it into the puzzle, and the puzzle is a complete shit show, it's like nobody's going to really focus too much on that one piece. They're going to be focused on just what am I looking at right now, right? And that's kind of the hope, that some of these developers that were just trying to do a good job. And who knows, dude? Another question I asked myself, how many developers at Firewalk kind of saw this coming? Because that's like the most damning thing I think about that studio, is that there was this kind of environment where it's like, you can't say anything, man. You can't say anything. And that to me is that's concerning. Where like you're saying, so you're back to the woke hate train again? No, I wouldn't say it's that, because like I said, some things can be like woke and survive and be fine. Because the truth is, I think for most people, if something is done really, really well and feels good to play and they like it, and it's like you make a good game and it feels really good to play, and it has some like woke ideology in there, as long as they're not beating you over the head with it, right? Like they're not shoving it in your face, but it's just kind of subtle, a little bit here, a little bit there. I think most people are like, what the fuck ever, I don't care. Like, I don't care that much, right? But it's when it becomes something that is it's taking more of a priority than it should, and everybody sees it, everybody picks up on it. That's why I said like that aspect of this game was the final nail in the coffin. The first nails in the coffin are the characters are laughably designed, like they're just bad. The gameplay loop, while not the worst ever created, is very it's bare bones. It's what you've created. It's not bad, but it's like it's been done like 10 to 20 times over at this point. And you're not a day late and $1 short. You're like a year late and like hundreds of millions of dollars short. Those are the first nails in the coffin. And another nail in the coffin is, so who are you trying to sell this game to? PlayStation players. Really? You sure this is what they want? Yes. That's another nail in the coffin. And so you're going to see people. There are going to be people who will tell you that the only reason Concord failed and failed this bad, and the reason why the studio got shut down, is because they're woke. That's not true. If that was true, dude, you'd be seeing not every studio, but man, a lot more studios would be shutting down. If that was the main reason or the only reason, you would see many, many more studios shutting down. Naughty Dog would be shut down. It's like there is more to it. And it would be disingenuous, I think, for people to not acknowledge that there is more to it. And it's important we acknowledge that, because if we want Sony to get the proper message and to learn the proper, to get the right lesson here, part of that lesson is you should make sure your studios are not going crazy with trying to insert identity politics and wearing their politics on their sleeve, because that's only going to hurt the end product. At least I think. I don't think I've ever seen that help a product. But more importantly, you need to make games that are going to be appealing to your fucking audience. I think one of the things that annoys me the most, and it's like cathartic to rant about it, that's why I keep ranting about it, is just like, Sony, the biggest message I fucking hope you received here is no one wants this shit. So please make something better. Please make something that the PlayStation audience actually wants. I don't care at this point what it is. Just look at Concord, and if you want to make another multiplayer game, I get it. They're just going to be PlayStation fans who don't want multiplayer. But if you're still going to make multiplayer games, look at Concord. Do the opposite of that. I don't know exactly what that is, but I'm not the one being paid millions of dollars to think about that and to lead that and to be in charge of that. If I was, then I'd think about it. But just do the opposite. Waylark, you're saying Herman was in charge of the studio that made Horizon. He's 100% going to choose to make these games like Concord over SOCOM. He's all about inclusion. And look, man, like, it's like I've said before, these ideals that people have, you know how the saying goes, like, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. This is, I think, a good example of that, where it's like, I'm not going to have a problem with a person because they just want more people to be involved. They want people to feel welcome. They want people to feel like they have a place. I'm not going to be angry at somebody for having that, like, just that kind of base intuition of, like, that's what they want, right? But this is where the adulting part of it kind of comes in, where it's like, that's great, man. Like, that's such an ideal thing. And yeah, we want everybody to get along. We don't want people to feel like they're being pushed out and, like they can't just come in and enjoy gaming. No, I'm not saying I advocate for that. And I don't really think people should advocate for that unless certain people are the bad apples, whatever you want to call them. Maybe those people can go away, right? But the problem is, it's like, you can't force that. You know what I mean? Like, you can be conscientious of it, and you can kind of allow it to be like a small part of the process, but you cannot force it. And the moment that thought of, but is it inclusive enough? But does it have enough diversity? But is it, does it make it clear that we're all about, supporting the trans ideals and stuff? Like, when that stuff starts to kind of overtake the conversation, and the conversation becomes less and less about, but is it a good fucking game? That's when you're in dangerous territory. Where even if your game is good, that's not what you want people focused on. And if your game's bad, you're going to pray that's not what people are focused on, because a bad game can maybe be fixed. A bad game can maybe be kind of, and I don't know, when it's already released, maybe it's too late. But once you have that combination of, like, and I'm going to be honest, everything about Concord, it feels to me like this game was made with all of these different things that should not be priority as the priority. And the things that should have been the actual priority in terms of its development were taking a back seat. And they were an afterthought. And that to me is like, that is the cancer of the gaming industry. That mentality, that thought process. It's not people and their actual political feelings and how they feel politically, you could say they're the problem. In my opinion, they're not. Everybody's going to feel how they want to feel. Everybody's going to have their beliefs. That's fine. The problem is when that starts to overtake what really matters and why we're fucking here in the first place, which is we need to make good, fun video games that maybe aren't for everybody. But that's okay because there's so many people in the industry making games that there's going to be something for everyone. So take solace in that. It's frustrating, man. The problem are the enablers. Oh, dude, some of the chat. I just see a chat going on by fire Herman, that woke lunatic. I love the idea of Herman just being just like some kind of lunatic running PlayStation Studios. Where is the line drawn? Well, there's also leverage, right? Let's take Naughty Dog, or if not Naughty Dog, just any like well-established Western studio with a reputation. They are able to kind of push the envelope a little bit more because they have the leverage to do so. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to try, like, it's like, honestly, it's when, like, in The Last of Us Part 2, it's like, yeah, we're basically gonna have you play as this new character that's like a buff chick that'll beat the living shit out of you, and her sidekick is gonna be a trans person. Like, there's no denying that a lot of conscientious thought went into that decision where it's like, this is gonna push boundaries. Like, this is gonna push the envelope. Obviously, like, nobody just looks at that and is like, doesn't have that thought, like, are we going, like, is that too much at once? Right? Like, are people going to be like, what's going to happen there? And it's a risk. Like, no matter what, I'm not saying it should be. I'm not here to say that. I'm just saying it is a risk, right? For what it's doing. And we could clearly see that with some of the, response we got. But what I'm trying to, the point I'm trying to get at here is Naughty Dog can kind of swing their weight around and be like, we're going to fucking do it anyway. We're Naughty Dog. We established a reputation. We made it this far. And even if it blew up in their face and it was a disaster, it wouldn't be enough to kill them. And they leveraged that. They leveraged their reputation and their clout, I guess, in the industry. It's comical to me that the people inside of Firewalk Studios, as well as Sony, thought that they could do that with this no-name game and this no-name team. Nobody knows who you are. You haven't done anything. You don't have any leverage. You don't have any weight to throw around. You take a risk, you might be risking it all. And that's exactly what they did. Yeah, it's like it goes against all conventional wisdom. So it's like, I get it, man. When you are empowered, and you know what? Firewalk probably was blinded too, because they're like, bro, Sony sees it. Sony bought us. We're good. We're good, man. We're good. We can do this. And I'm telling you, everybody at Sony, including everybody at Firewalk, maybe not everybody, but at least the leadership, they were probably dumbfounded when they saw the launch of this game. They were probably shitting themselves. They were. I mean, dude, I can't even imagine. And that's where I kind of, like, from a human level, I feel bad. It's like, oh my God, who wants to go through that? Like, imagine watching this thing crash and burn so hard that you probably know. And there were like stories coming out that developers were already trying to apply to other jobs. Where, like, they know, like, oh, this is it. It's over. I just lost my job. That sucks. And again, I don't want to see that, but this is where it's so important now more than ever for the industry and the publishers and the developers to take note that, listen, man, you want to be you want to make a game and you got a message you want to deliver and you want to make a progressive game and whatever, you want to do all that, that's fine. But you got to be more calculated. You can't go full, what do you want to call it? Full woke, whatever you want to call it. You can't go full anything without first, you got to deliver the goods. No matter how idealized your game is or turns out to be, you got to at least be able to fall back on, but it's a fun game to play. It's a good game. If you have that, okay, you can survive. You can survive with that. I'm not even saying that I want it to be that way, but you can survive. Sony needs to figure it the fuck out, dude. And I think it starts by just get the fuck in touch with your actual fans. Get in touch with actual players, like people who are willing to spend money on your products. And there's a lot of us. There's a lot of PlayStation fans. Make a game that people look at and that goes, that's fucking badass, man. I can't wait to play that shit. Hell yeah. That's like, you know, you say that to a Sony executive or something these days, they're probably going to be like, oh, so you want just a rugged white male? Like, no. Make something fucking cool. You know, it's like that doesn't have to do with gender. That doesn't have to do with sexuality. It doesn't have to do with it. It's make something fucking cool that is appealing, that when I see it, I'm like, damn, I can't wait to play that. That's what that means. And that like doesn't compute for so many developers because they're like, but my politics. It's like, no. Make a fun game. This is why I was so excited for The Last of Us multiplayer, because I'm like, bro, Last of Us gameplay, surviving in an open world, create your character, go out there on missions with people, fight other people, survive, get supplies. That sounds fucking awesome. Suddenly, you see what I'm saying? Like, none of that shit that people wanted to kind of focus on, it doesn't really apply here because it's a multiplayer game where you get to make your own character and go out there and have fucking fun with some awesome gameplay mechanics. Why is that so hard? Sigh. Magnum Gaming, you're saying Digital Foundry said that Sony can use ML in the Pro for other stuff too, maybe for NPC interactions. Also, Guerrilla Games came up with upscaling first. Yeah, I was covering that today in my video, Magnum Gaming. Guerrilla Games, I mean, from a technological standpoint, man, they know what they're doing. And that's what I was thinking too. I think we will see that with the, if there's overhead left with PSSR, they could use it for stuff like potentially NPC interactions. At least I think. Kyle says GT7 code for some credits. Well, there you go. Did somebody get that code? Kyle, thank you for that. Capono says, seriously, did this surprise you? It didn't. It didn't, but it doesn't make it any less profound. You know? It doesn't make it any less profound that we went from... Oh, here we go. Hold on. Firewalk Studios on Twitter says... Oh, wow. Okay, so they... Firewalk actually posted something here on Twitter. They said, Firewalk is signing off one last time. Firewalk began with the idea of bringing the joy of multiplayer to a larger audience. Along the way, we assembled an incredible team who were able to navigate growing a startup into a team during a global pandemic. Firewalk was founded in 2018 and was very small for its first couple of years, only entering full production in 2022. Build a new customized next-gen FPS engine in Unreal 4 and then over to 5, delivering top-tier gameplay feel, beautiful worlds, and a performant 60 FPS technical experience on a stable and scalable backend on PS5 and PC to hundreds of thousands of players in our beta. Manage an acquisition/integration while readying technical and preliminary tests, and ultimately ship and deliver a great FPS experience to players, even if it landed much more narrowly than hoped against a heavily consolidated market. We took some risks along the way, marrying aspects of card battlers and fighting games with first-person shooters, and although some of these and other aspects of the IP didn't land as we had hoped, the idea of putting new things into the world is critical to pushing the medium forward. The talent at Firewalk and the level of individual craft is truly world-class, and teams within Sony Interactive Entertainment and across the industry will be fortunate to work with them. Please reach out to recruiting at PlayStation for inquiries, and thank you to all the very many teams, partners, and fans who supported us along the way. See you in the Tempest, Firewalk Studios, and Transmission. I mean, yeah, dude, like I said, I feel for the devs. I hope the devs are able to land on their feet. It sucks. Like, it absolutely... I think that's why I get so frustrated, is because it's just like, it didn't have to be this way, man. It really didn't. And it's so unfortunate that, like, this is literally the worst possible outcome. I mean, I just think back to the day that it was announced that Sony acquired Firewalk, and there was like so much hope. And like, man, this could be great. And literally 2 years later, it's like, they're shutting down. It's depressing. Like, it bro, would you put Concord on your resume? No. Probably not. Hey, chill. Waylark, you're saying female-led games with LGBTQ subjects like Horizon and The Last of Us are their best-selling franchises. Sony just needs more pronouns in their games. Well, I mean, it's kind of funny to read what you're saying here, Waylark, because you're like right in a sense, to a degree, where Horizon sells great, Last of Us. But I think the thing is, like, you know, you mentioned the whole LGBTQ thing, like that. Again, man, it's not about, is it a female or a male? It's not about, are they gay, straight, trans, whatever. It's not about that. It should never be about that. And the moment you make it about that, like the moment you decide, like, this is what it has to be about, you're going to turn so many people off from it, because that's not what, I'll tell you right now, for the majority of the PlayStation fan base, that's not what we want. If it makes sense to be woven into the greater story you need to tell, that's fine. But if that's the center focal point of what you're trying to do, that's not interesting. Sorry, it's fucking not. It's not interesting. The relationships between people can be interesting, but the relationships between those people are not ever, at least in my opinion, they're not defined by what color's your skin, what genitals do you have, you know, like what's your pronouns? Like, that doesn't, like, I'm interested in the deeper shit, dude. And I think when you think about it, what compels people to good storytelling? It's the deeper shit that everybody can relate to. That feels like it's not trying to fucking preach something to you, but it's trying to evoke a feeling. Because you know what people remember more than anything? And this is storytelling 101. The thing that people will always remember, and it trumps the ending, it trumps the genre, it trumps everything. The one thing people will always remember is how it made them feel. Your story. Usually you'll think of just a couple specific beats of that story, but the first thing you'll always think is, how did it make me feel? How did it make me feel? That's what matters. And you get too many people who are involved in storytelling and writing stories where they don't care how it makes you feel. They have a very specific thing. They have a very specific feeling they want to evoke from you. They want you to feel one specific way because that's what they want, and they're going to make it that way. And that's fine if you want to go that way. But when you're taking that type of approach where I'm going to construct this to evoke a very specific feeling, and I want it to be this feeling, but I want it to be interwoven with a greater message that I have to tell you that you should agree with. That's when the whole thing fucking falls apart. And that's the problem, man. That right there is the root problem of not just the gaming industry and what's happening with it, but just generally speaking, just across all mediums of storytelling. And there are still many good stories being told. And I'm not this kind of person to make it sound like everything's shit, everything's garbage. It's not that. It's not. That's not true. But there is a noticeable kind of influx of trash and garbage and nonsense and bullshit that people are just getting tired of. And they're getting tired of it because the masks are slipping and the real agenda is being shown. And that agenda it's not the agenda of I want to tell a really great, memorable story that people hold up high for generations to come. Unfortunately. Antonio Lopes, you're saying Neon Core shutting down and having the game they were working on canned is probably even bigger news, to be honest. That's dozens of millions of dollars down the drain. Dude, I guarantee you, Antonio, I fucking guarantee you, they never told us what this action game is, this multiplayer game is that they were making. They never told us. I guarantee you it was the mobile version of Concord. I bet you. And that's why this had to happen at the same time. Because and that's probably why they had to think so long and hard about what do we do? Maybe we'll find out what that game was that they were making. But I'm telling you, man, my gut is telling me that they were making the mobile version of Concord. And you can begin to understand why it's like we're gonna have to shut them down too. I mean, they were a mobile focused studio, and it's worth noting they had multiple executives leave like a year ago or something. So there was already some problems. Herman does a good job of lighting money on fire. It's about sending a message. They were like, there's no fixing this shit. Luna, you want some catnip? Come on. Up here. That's too much. Luna's being so weird. It's National Cat Day, guys. Lines up with the Concorde is a Star Wars-like IP mentality reported by Colin. Yeah. Can we still watch the skill up review? Yeah, I'll bring that up in a couple minutes. I mean, look, I'll be honest. I wasn't expecting to talk about Concorde today. I wasn't expecting this to come out today. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to leave it here, or I'm sure we're going to have to talk about it more in depth tomorrow, maybe. I don't know. We have Cobb Sanity with a super chat. He says, for these past couple of years, the games that have failed have been chasing trends. I agree. I mean, that's another nail in the coffin. And you could argue it was maybe the worst part about Concord is that, I remember when we were watching that state of play. And people wanted my thoughts on Concord, I remember the biggest thing I kept saying is it's just, I can't believe how generic it looks. Like, it literally looks like generic the game. And that I do certainly believe is from chasing trends. And Sony is just foolish, man, where, look, I'm not saying I expect Sony to just be able to become masters of live service overnight. It's not easy. And there will be failures. But again, this is just like, bro, does anybody here have any inclination whatsoever of what they're doing in the live service space? Anybody? Arrowhead, maybe. Other than that, anybody? because it like, and maybe we should have gotten a clue when they bought Bungie and they were like, we need Bungie to tell us. Maybe that's when we should have had a clue. And I admit I was late to that realization that, oh, wow, they really don't know what they're doing. Like, they have no fucking idea. And that's upsetting in a sense, because it's like, how could you have no idea? But I don't know. I guess if you haven't made multiplayer games in over a decade, and you just completely missed the boat for the live service boom, and you see all these games, I guess I could kind of understand how it's like, yeah, those things would maybe add up to where you just don't know what the hell happened or how this, like you just have no idea, like what happened. How are all these games so successful? How are they making so much money? How do we do that? But I'm still very, very, very concerned about the future of Sony's live service plans. I really am. Like, I really am, man, because I can't believe, like, I can believe it now, but I can't believe from, like, starting in 2021 up until now, like, these are the results. Helldivers is amazing, but Helldivers was going to be amazing regardless of whether Sony pushed in the direction of live service or not. Putting Helldivers aside, it's like, this has been a fucking train wreck. An absolute train wreck. And that sucks to say. That sucks to say, man. It really does, because it didn't have to be this way. And I know hindsight's 2020, but sometimes it's like you got to have at least enough insight before it comes to pass to know that that's where you're headed, man. Subtext, you're saying you probably talked about it given the poll, but I can't believe Bungie made a marathon video where they showed nothing, not even concept art, just the most general description of a shooter. Unreal. Actually, we didn't talk about it. So I actually forgot I put that poll up. I'm probably going to have to change the title and thumbnail of this stream today, because essentially the marathon topic got replaced with Concord due to the news that came out. But I might talk about, I think I'm just going to stop talking about Concord for right now. I don't know. I'm going to have more to say. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Like, this is just we're in the middle of a stream, the news drops, but I want to have a wider discussion because this is a big deal. And I think that there is certainly more to be extracted from this news. And I think there are some important implications here. And yeah, Marathon's up next too. Neon Koi had 38 employees, so it doesn't seem like they were very far into anything. That's interesting. I didn't know they were that small. Yeah, maybe they just really weren't coming up with anything. Maybe it's that simple. And Sony's just like, Ice Rezo, you're saying, MBG, do you trust Herman Hulst's judgment? He said Concord would be PlayStation's future. The next couple of years, he will be deciding on games. Well, there's something that, okay. I'm sorry, I just got distracted because somebody posted that clip of Joker yelling, "You get what you effing deserve," and then shooting the dude in the head. There was one specific thing within the write-up. There was a write-up, an internal email, apparently. There was an internal email from... Oh, and really quick, it says, by the way, a total of 100, at least Jeff Keighley's reporting this, a total of 172 employees will be let go as part of the shutdown. God damn, that's a lot, dude. Actually, Jason Schreier says Sony's closure today of 2 studios, Concord developer Firewalk and mobile game maker Neon Koi, will result in 210 people losing their jobs. A spokesperson tells Bloomberg Firewalk had 172 employees. Oh my God. 172. how do they have that many employees? Like, how is that even possible for, like, dude, Concord, how? Neon Koi had 38. But to answer your question, I keep getting distracted here. There was an internal email that was sent to all the employees, I guess, of Sony announcing this. And they Herman Holst at one point said, while some aspects of Concord were exceptional, and they keep kind of talking about how, and I get it, maybe it's just a PR thing where like Sony can't say the game sucked, like Herman Holst can't say the game sucked. But it's just like, bro, why you gotta word it like that, man? Like, you're literally, everything you say makes me lose more confidence that you know what you're doing. There was nothing exceptional. You don't, I get you need to try to like ease the blow of we're shutting down this whole studio, but why you gotta say stuff like that? Like, you could just word it as like some of the ideas they had potential, you know, that just wasn't fully realized. Like, that would communicate to me. And granted, it's an internal email, so maybe we're not meant to know that he worded it this way. But I'm very nervous about Holst, dude. I'm gonna be honest. I know it was like Jim Ryan's the reason, but Holst was his right-hand man, and Holst was still heading PlayStation Studios the whole time Jim Ryan was in charge. I'm not saying I'm going to assume the worst, but here's what I'll say. I genuinely hope Herman learned a hard lesson here that he learns from. Like, that's the best outcome, is Herman actually understands, like, God damn, I really fucked up. Like, I need, like, what this should mean is Herman going forward needs to be way more critical, dude. That's what it means. Not overly critical. Don't go extreme in the other direction, but that's the, like, and you're talking about somebody's kind of like personality to a degree here, where it's like he needs to be more critical. And when he sees something that he immediately thinks this is amazing, take a step back. That's what you think. Try to think beyond yourself now. Think wider. Take a good hard look at the industry. And I get it. It's impossible to know exactly how an internal product that you're making, what the end result is going to be once it's out there. But in a lot of cases, I think you can get at least a decent idea. Maybe, I don't know, man. Maybe everybody up top at Sony is just out of touch. Maybe they just genuinely don't fucking know anymore, man. I don't know. It's a tough thing. Salvazardo6, you're saying Sony should go all in on Helldivers, add Killzone / Resistance factions in the game, engage the interest in those franchises, then go from there. I mean, that's not a bad idea, Salvazar. It would be cool to see that. It would be cool to see them do something like that, but I don't know. To be honest, man, I have no idea what Sony's next play is after this, because it's like, where do you go from here? I guess realistically, what Sony has to do right now, what they have to do is they have to see what happens with Fair Games and Marathon. That's what they have to do. Marathon, I think, like, I'm not as worried about that, because it's like, maybe it won't be that successful, but I don't think it'll be a train wreck. It could be, but if it's fun and Bungie makes a fun playing game, then I think it could find a small audience and it would be fine. Fair Games, I'm telling you right now, dude, and I don't say this lightly, And I'm not trying to be that person that's just overly negative and assuming the worst and just being completely cynical, but I mean this with thought put into it. Fair Games has the potential to be Concord 2. And I just really, really wonder when we talk about lessons being learned, if Sony knows that, or if Herman Hulst knows that, because what they should do right now, and I know it's probably uncomfortable, but it's like, you got to go in there and tell them, guys, you might have to overhaul the visual aspect of your game. And I don't know, maybe they can't afford to do that. Maybe the clock is ticking, time has run out, the budget's up, no more budget. But I hope Fair Games has been spending the last 6 months after seeing the reveal of Concord being like, okay, we need to maybe tweak some things here. Because I'm telling you, man, I saw what people had to say in the comment section. And I'm not saying the comment section dictates everything. It doesn't. But in this case, sometimes you can get some insight. The first reveal of Concord, the comments were not good. But granted, it was a CG trailer. The comments for Fair Games were even worse. The comments for Fair Games, that's why I'm saying, dude, I would be shaking right now if I was working at Haven Studio. I'd probably be arguing with the leaders of Haven, be like, we got to save our studio right now. This is our chance to make a hard pivot. Maybe not cancel. I mean, you can't, if you cancel it, it's then the studio is going to shut down. But make some changes. Change what you can and really try to, again, anything that your game is doing that seems like it worked to the detriment of Concord, right? Anything that Concord did that worked to its detriment, identify that, do the opposite of that. If you don't, you're fucked. Sorry, but you are. Change the title first. Waylark, you're saying SOCOM and Killzone sucked. That's why they stopped making them. Yeah, but it's different. Things are different now, dude. And also, I'm not saying they sucked. You're saying that. I think a lot of people love those games, bro. I will tell you this. If Sony made a new SOCOM and it had modern day sensibilities, such as gameplay sensibilities, I mean, in the sense that it doesn't play like a PS2 game. It doesn't play like a PS2 game. It plays like what you would expect from a modern day shooter of some kind or a modern day tactical shooter. They did that and they made the graphics pretty good and they had some kind of single player campaign and a robust multiplayer component of some kind. It would do just fine. I'm not saying, and this is the important part, and this is where Sony executives need to get their heads out of their asses. I'm not here to tell you that it's going to be the next fucking Fortnite and you're going to get the most diverse, widest player base on the planet or the youngest player base that they're going to grow up with this game. I'm not here to tell you that. What I'm here to tell you is it's a start. It's something you can establish that won't fail and flop, will have some level of established player base, and you can take it from there. That's what I can tell you. That's a guarantee, as long as you get a competent studio to develop it that has some level of experience with third-person shooters. That's a guarantee. That's a guarantee. And somebody might say, well, that's playing it too safe. What about the new IP? And I would say, motherfucker, did you just see what happened with your new IP? Now is not the time. Now is not the time. That time was in 2020. That time was in 2021. And you placed your bets. You hedged your bets, and these are the results. Now the time is to play it a little bit safer and win some people back. Plant your flag and establish something. You don't even have to call it SOCOM, dude. Just make it a modern shooter, modern tactical shooter. That to me, that sounds. Maybe I'm wrong, but my gut tells me that's gonna appeal to the PlayStation fan base, dude. You show off some CGI trailer, and it's got like this kind of like SOCOM / Rainbow Six-esque kind of vibe to it. I think PlayStation fans would breathe a sigh of relief because, like, finally, something that looks like, I don't know, kind of good. It's not some fucking weird, like, here's a fucking hamburger jiggling in space. Here's a bunch of fucking people robbing billion-dollar corporations made by a billion-dollar corporation. Don't you want to play that? Don't you see the purple smoke? Don't you see the glitter? Don't you see the stylization? You see what I'm saying? Like, Marathon looks kind of good. Yeah, Marathon probably I'd say is the best art style. But even that, I don't know. It's more in line with what you'd expect from Bungie. Stop objectifying a burger. But that's what I'm saying, man. Like, let's get some fucking Leia, relax. Luna keeps messing with Leia. Leia's getting mad. Did you guys hear that? Did that pick up on the mic? Fair Games is stealing money from Sony at this very moment. See, this is why I'm going to have to talk about it again tomorrow. I see somebody asking, are we going to discuss the Firewalk shutdown? A lot of people probably passed by the stream not realizing we were talking about it today, but Ice, you're saying, I don't think the Japanese side of Sony headquarters trusts Herman's judgment. That's why they have two CEOs for PlayStation before they always had one. Well, I would agree with that, Ice, but the problem is I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just the fact that Herman is, his whole thing is being in charge of all of the creative side, all of the games coming from PlayStation he's in charge of. I say this because when it comes to trust, I mean, maybe they wouldn't trust Herman to run the platform because what does he, I mean, I don't know that I would trust him either. Like, what experience do you have that qualifies you to running the platform from a, marketing level, from an R&D level? It's like, I don't know. Can you guys hear Leia? She's just like growling at Luna. It's really funny. I've never seen Leia so annoyed. I'm sorry. She's just distracting me. Waylark, you're saying play Rainbow Six Siege or COD then? No, I'm not. I do. Right? I haven't played Rainbow Six Siege in years, but I've been playing Call of Duty, right? And I do. And it's nice that there are these options. And I understand why Sony's like, well, that gap's already filled in. Why should we try? But it's because it's like, listen, I do think PlayStation players would like to have something directly from Sony. At least I would. I would love like just a more traditional, some kind of more traditional first-person shooter franchise from Sony. I'm not saying it needs to be a Call of Duty competitor. It doesn't need to be a Rainbow Six competitor. It can be its own thing, but it would just be cool if it's like Sony's like, listen, we have our own thing. There's no... Guys, are you serious? It's National Cat Day. Get along. Come on. Take it easy. Luna is being feisty, man. She like keeps fucking with Leia, and Leia's getting pissed off. Luna, you come over here. You come over here. I gotta keep my eye on you. chaos. I'm just saying, man, like, listen, my view on it is this simple. You are trying. You're trying. You tried with Concord, something, a new IP, a hero shooter, something different for PlayStation. You tried, it completely failed. Now you're going to try with Fair Games, another new IP, which is cool. Always like new IP. Still seems to be targeting the wrong, I don't want to say the wrong type of audience, but like an audience that may not exist, that you think exists, that you think is just going to migrate to your game and love it, but doesn't really exist. And then you have Marathon. And like, sure, maybe Marathon will work. Maybe that'll be fine. But this is where I'm just like, Sony, like, at what point is it just like, look, you're trying all these different things. They're not working the way you want them to or the way you thought they would. Why not just try something a bit more traditional? You know, something that, again, if it's not Resistance, if it's not Killzone, if it's not SOCOM, a game that takes inspiration from those games and can feel inspired by it. And it could be something new, but it can, you know, kind of, it can, I think, evoke that kind of nostalgia and that remembrance from PlayStation fans where it's like, you know, it's not Resistance, but certain aspects of it remind me of Resistance, or it's not SOCOM, but it reminds me a little bit of SOCOM, kind of going in that direction somewhat. What would be so bad about that? Antonio Lopes, you're saying Ethan Gatch, says Concord's development deal at Firewalk Studios was $200 million. That did not include marketing, the sale of IP rights, the acquisition of the studio, or the game's delayed launch. Jesus. Oh my God, dude. That's crazy. Angry Whale Watcher says, I will not keep that same energy. I will celebrate. Do I think any other PlayStation Studio dev head would do a better job than Holst? I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, we're talking about people that are heading up PlayStation Studios right now. Yeah, that's a tough one, dude. I'm not sure. Sean Layden, you know, he had his time. Shuhei Yoshida had his time. Shuhei Yoshida's made his own mistakes. He's admitted to that, but he did, I think, a mostly good job too. I think people like Shu a lot as the head of first party. I wasn't really paying attention at the time though, so I can't really evaluate that accurately. I don't know. That's a really tough one, dude. I'm actually not sure who would be more qualified than Herman. Look, man, I just hope that Herman understands more than anything that you tried something really different with Concord and you loved it and you believed in it, but, you know, nobody else did outside of you and the studio and everybody else working around you that you convinced. When it came time to actually bring this game to market and publish it on your platform, it flopped literally as badly as a game could flop. This is why I'm saying, like, I think what Herman needs to start doing is Herman needs to become more comfortable greenlighting games that he may not find compelling. Gonna be honest, that's kind of my takeaway. Not saying that means whatever he thinks is bad, he should greenlight, because that means it's definitely going to be good, but he definitely can't trust his own judgment as well as he thought. And I think that's the brutal truth about Herman Holst right now, is that if he doesn't walk away with that lesson, like, I'll put it to you this way. If I was in Herman Holst's shoes right now, and I knew that this is basically on me, not entirely, like, not me alone, but a lot of it, like, I was the one that celebrated this game. I was the one that convinced Jim we need to acquire the studio. I was the one that lost all this, like the majority of this money. And now I'm mostly responsible for the absolute destruction of the studio. I would, at that point going forward, when I see a team show me a game that I'm like, my gut tells me no, I would ignore that. And I would say, this might be it. I don't see it. I'm not even feeling it. But that might be it. Because the last thing that I was feeling, the last thing that I really believed in, was the worst thing ever. So I don't know. I mean, that's a hell of a way to have to operate. That's a crazy way to have to operate if you are the head of these studios. But what else do you do? I mean, maybe the next best thing Herman can do is he can kind of look at his previous decisions and be like, no, I know this was just a mistake. It's just one mistake. I was there for Horizon. I mean, what else is, my question is, what else is Herman responsible for exactly? Is Herman responsible for Ghost of Yotei? Maybe. The Kojima connection. I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true. Maybe Cory Barlog taking Hulk's position. That'd be really interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if Cory Barlog would want to do that, though. Cory Barlog, see, the problem with a studio head being promoted to the head of all studios is you take a much less creative position. It's much more of a managerial position. And a lot of times these directors and the heads of these studios, like they're there because they want to be directly, in the weeds involved with the creative process. Yeah, they have to know, they have to understand the business side of it as well. And I'm sure if Herman didn't fully understand the business side of it, he's going to understand it after this. That's for sure. But, obviously he was interviewed. It's not like Sony just said, here, Holst, figure it out. At least I don't know, man. Maybe Hiroki Totoki was panicking. Maybe Hiroki Totoki is like, man, I don't fucking know what I'm doing here, bro. I don't even know what they're saying. I don't know what they're talking about. Like Hiroki Totoki's just like, just show me the numbers. And he's just like, Herman, you know what they're talking about, right? You got this. And Holst is like, yeah, I got this. Who knows, man? The bar is low right now. They can try something else. Yeah, that's another thing. That's why I'm saying, like, they gotta figure something out, man. Sony doesn't know what they're doing with live service. They really don't. It's gonna be an interesting second half of this generation. It's gonna be really interesting to see what ends up happening, because this is things have went to shit very quickly. Not in all regards, but in some respects. In some respects, it has went to shit very quickly. And that's not even, again, that's not mutually exclusive to Sony. But all right, let's see. Person says there are too many people celebrating this because they want to be anti-DEI/woke so bad. This game is a product of Sony trying to chase trends, chase the gravy train of live service The characters were sauce, but the meat and potatoes is another company wasting millions trying to source live service when they're not working. Helldivers is the outlier, not the standard. I don't know why they're trying to make more live service games, and most of them have either been scalped after millions poured, as in The Last of Us, or dropped after millions. Well, I mean, dude, I'm responding to this as if it was a super chat. I was just reading what somebody said. At some point, it just seems to me that Sony is only willing to lose so much money. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a thing here that we need to acknowledge is Sony wants to succeed in live service, but how much money are they really willing to lose in such dramatic fashion, in such rapid fashion, until they're just like, you know what, maybe we're going to pump the fucking brakes or just stop and just like completely go back to the drawing board. At what point does Sony give up and buy a publisher? I'm not saying that's likely, but at what point are they like, we can't do this ourselves. We need to buy somebody that actually has live service? Maybe not, because they did that. That's why they bought Bungie, right? And look at what happened with Bungie. So I don't know. Maybe Sony just needs to listen. Here's what I think Sony should do. All right. I think Sony should approach this from an even more organic standpoint. It'll take time, and that's going to be painful for them. That's going to be painful for the executives and the shareholders to hear because they want it now. But I think the best approach to this is go back to the basics, okay? So let's take The Last of Us Part 3, for example. All right? Eventually, The Last of Us Part 3 is going to come out. And when it does, you should announce Factions 2. All right? Factions 2 is just going to be the multiplayer component that ships with The Last of Us Part 3. Commit to 1 year. Commit to 1 year. You're going to support it with seasons and microtransactions. And if you have to scale up Naughty Dog and hire more people to make that happen, so then the main core of Naughty Dog can go work on the next game, then do that. But I think basically I guess what I'm trying to say is you should run your live service games through your single player games. I mean, at this point, could it really hurt? Look at where you are. Could it really hurt? I don't think so. Ghost of Tsushima, well, it's not Ghost of Tsushima 2, but Ghost of Yote ship not too long after Ghost of Tsushima. I guess it would be called Ghost of Yote Legends. The original was called Ghost of Tsushima Legends. Ghost of Yote Legends. It's the follow-up to the multiplayer aspect that shipped not too long after Ghost of Tsushima came out. Support it for 1 year. Again, scale up, have a dedicated, small, but, hardworking team that is focused on seasonal content and making sure there's new stuff available for the game every month or every 2 months or even every 3 months. Like, you don't have to treat it like a traditional live service. I'm just saying, man, like, what's the other option here? The only other option is the one I already mentioned, which is like make dedicated live service games in genres that for some reason you seem to be avoiding. I'm asking for too much. I don't know, man. You're willing to drop $200? $200. That's how much we paid for Firewalk. You're willing to drop $200 million on Firewalk. Why not take that $200 million and spread it out to your established studios and hire a dedicated small but dedicated multiplayer team. And that team, their job is to create the multiplayer component for their single player titles. I don't know. It's just a thought. Maybe it's not as easy as I'm making it sound. I'm sure it's not. Sure, it comes with a whole host of challenges, but you want that money. Like, that's the point. You want that money. You want that big money. It ain't going to come easy. It's not. It ain't going to come cheap either. We have Josh Z with a super chat. He says, game devs can figure out leadership positions. Nintendo's old guard all started as game devs and took leadership positions in the early 2000s. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I mean, I guess I kind of knew that based off of stories I've heard and the background of some of these executives. But it's interesting to think that, like, you know, Nintendo's old guard, like all of them started as game devs. Maybe that is the way. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we need more game devs in leadership positions running the entire brand and you know, the entire studio gamut. Well, I'm going to have to, I don't know, I'm going to have to alter, I guess, I didn't even get to talk about Indiana Jones, which is not a big deal. Wasn't too interested in that. I just thought maybe some people would be. But guys, I think this is where we're going to wrap the stream up. I'll chat with you for just a couple more minutes, but let me see. Yeah, if you have any other super chats or anything, now would be the time to drop them. Yeah, we're probably going to talk about this again. I mean, yeah, Michael, I'm sorry, man. It's just I got something I got to take care of. Maybe I'll check it out tomorrow. I might, or you know what? What I might do is I'll watch some of it on my own, and then I'll talk about it tomorrow because I was interested in checking that out. Will I dwell on this all day? No. Maybe I will. I don't know. Let me see. Dude, I love how people are complaining on my Twitter that, like, next tweet, how do you feel about Concord? Seriously, this dude's tweets are the most effortless I've ever seen. Like, you know what's comical to me? People who take Twitter like seriously, right? Like, you think this is a good platform? Like, you think this is a platform worth putting any time or effort into? Are you serious? Like, dude, this is the worst place ever. This is by far and away the biggest dumpster fire of a social media platform. But I don't know. I guess some people do. I guess it's worth it for them. Oh, sorry, it's called X. Listen, man, do you know how many times I've almost deleted my Twitter, man? Like, for real. Do you know how many times, like, I'm like, do I want to do it? And that's why I've decided, like, yeah, Twitter's just going to be a place where I try to make a couple bucks. Literally, that's what I make. I make a couple of dollars on Twitter. Maybe like $20 every like 3 weeks or something. And that's how I look at it. I'm just like, dude, I'm just going to ask questions. I'm just going to try to get some engagement. And if I can take that $20 and put it in the gas tank, or, you know, buy some memberships for you guys on the channel, then so be it. But the idea that people are like, why aren't you using this the right way? Like, are you shitting me? Bro. The Twitter algorithm is meant to make you sad and angry. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't really browse Twitter anymore. I mean, sometimes I check, like right now, sometimes I check to see what people are saying on some of my questions, but you know what's interesting to me? I can only imagine some people who are complaining about my posts on Twitter. I think some of them might not realize, like, bro, I stream like almost every day for hours. And that's what's kind of funny about it. It's like, I want to know more of what you think, MBG. Like, bro, come on over. You'll get tired of me. You don't want to hear what I think anymore. It's too much. Love how Luna's passed out on the chair next to me. Yeah, I don't know. So I will tell you this. I did get notified, I think like 2 weeks ago, that Twitter actually changed their monetization and like how they're going to pay people. And I'm going to see what that result looks like. Cause if it's even $1 less than it's been, I think I'm just done. I don't know if I'm going to delete my Twitter. It's going to be hard. I mean, it took a long time to get over 70,000 followers. I'm not going to lie. But what I might end up doing, what I might turn my Twitter into, if it gets to a point where it's just like I'm just done, bro, I might just make it a place where I just post my stuff that I'm doing here. As in, like, hey, I put out a video and I'm going to post it here. Hopefully you'll click on it, if you're interested. Same with my streams. And that might just be all it is, because right now it's just me asking questions. But I don't know, I get really good engagement on these questions. Any news on the YouTube, the membership YouTube BS? From what I can tell, what we were talking about yesterday, the idea that the same people won't receive membership gifts who have been receiving them, that's not true. That's not true. Outside of that, that's basically all I got. Oh, there is something else here. Check it out. YouTube added this. I'm going to experiment with this at the end of the stream. I'm starting a goal. YouTube integrated a goal. Do you guys see this? This is a new thing. Like, literally, this just appeared today. It's a super chat goal. 15 minutes, 5 teal. I love how they do colored. I need 5 teal super chats. We get 5 teal super chats. And let me see. They also add, I'll feed the cats treats. Yeah, it's what's interesting to me is that they're doing it for super chats, but not members. So I wonder if they're going to add one for members as well. But yeah, I'm going to make a goal. It's like trophies. Come on, guys. Let's get that platinum. We'll, tomorrow I have a goal of 3, what is it? I think they have like red super chats, which are like $100 or more. We'll do 3 of those. We can hit that, right? They make it like TikTok. I don't know anything about TikTok. People have told me I should go to TikTok. Apparently TikTok is a really great place to stream. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. Saying don't, it's brain rot. Well, that goes without saying. That definitely goes without saying. Meow drops a 5. Oh, there we go. The first teal. That's what they call it. The first teal super chat. Meow. Clearly wants to see me give the cats treats. I don't know. I'm making it easier for you guys right now. Normally, we save the treats for the cats for 25 members. So I'm making it easier right now. We're doing teal super chats. I think dude, I don't know why it's so funny that they're doing it color-coded rather than like denomination. Feral Flame, member for 11 months, says, hey, did you cover Sony shutting down Firewalk Studios in Yonkoi? We did talk about it for quite a bit, but I will let you know, Feral Flame, we're probably going to talk about it tomorrow. Today was more just like the initial gut in the moment, I'm seeing it happen. We'll talk about it, I think, more, if not tomorrow, like in an upcoming stream, we'll talk about it. I know a lot of people missed the discussion, so we'll see. Hey, there we go. Perfect image. With the teal, God, it's going to be so weird doing it that way. With the second teal super chat. Did it count? Wait, hold on now. Why didn't it count? Maybe it's delayed. Yo, for real, why didn't it count? Yo, this is some bullshit. Guys, did it update for you? It's just saying 1 out of 5. Do I have to add it? Wait, what the fuck is going? It has a timer, 11 minutes. Yo, I love how YouTube adds this thing and it's already broken. Well, I'm keeping track. That's 2. Perfect image, you're saying. For me, I hope Sony does well in 2 years. When that happens, I'll be playing COD 6. The Modern Warfare 6? I don't know. I guess Black Ops 6, GTA 5 and 6, Mafia 4, Project 007, maybe Ghost 2. Until then, we got to play what we want, guys. MBG, you're cool. Thank you for that perfect image. I appreciate that, buddy. Oh, the donor has to click it? Perfect image. Could you... Okay, hold on. That's crazy. So you're telling me that if a person clicks the regular super chat icon, it will not count towards the goal. They have to actually click the arrow up top and do it through that. Is that what you're telling me? Because that is insane. Nero drops one. He says teal with a capital L. Nero, that actually says it's your first time super chatting too. Thank you for that. All right, well, perfect image. Try clicking the goal up top. I don't know if maybe all you got to do is click it since you already chatted and it'll just count. I don't know. We're at 3 out of 5 though. We're actually not at 2. We're at 3. YouTube, they how could they mess that up? That's crazy to me, dude. So if you just do a regular super chat and you do so in the hopes that you hit the goal, you want to help contribute to it, it's not going to count towards it. And how would you know that? Oh, you did that perfect image. Oh, well then I don't know, maybe it's just not working. Damn. You can see the timer counting down. Yeah, the timer, dude, the timer part, now that's the stressful part. That's crazy. You got 8 minutes. We got 8 minutes. Shems, I don't think that's going to count, man. Does that count? Is that... I mean, it's blue. Yo, tell me Shems didn't count. I see Silent Spartan says, MBG, it's almost time for the PS5 Pro. Gavin House says, for the goal. Hopefully. Shems, I'm so sorry, Shems. It didn't work. Shems is light... What is that? Just like a light blue? Sky blue? It didn't count, man. Although we did hit it. We are at 5 out of 5. I will tell you that because for some reason, Perfect Image dropped a teal super chat and it didn't count. So we did hit it. It's not teal. I don't know colors. What is even teal? I don't know what that is. Ray, you're saying there's a mad delay. All right. What is team? I'm like, Shems, bro. Do you mean teal? Yeah. It's a color, man. Apparently, yeah, so do they know? Oh my God, this is so weird. This is so weird. Oh, it's delayed for the donos, not the stream. Teal making a comeback for bathrooms. It's all Concord's fault. You want to see if anything happens on screen when you get it? Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for that too. I do wonder if anything happens. I mean, surely there's going to have to be something. Maybe like some balloons or something. I don't know. It's the first time trying this out. I'm going to have to think of more rewards. I appreciate you trying, Shems. I still appreciate it, man. It's just funny that, like, again, they're not, they won't tell you the denomination, but they're just going to tell you the color. So you got to figure it out. You got to be familiar with the super chat game. There we go. Titus drops it. He says, "Do it, do it." All right. So what happened? Goal achieved thanks to the participants. MBG just achieved the goal. See goal. Goal achieved. 5 teal super chats. I'll feed the cats treats. All right, here we go. I'm like experimenting with this and seeing what else I can do. Hold on. Come on. It's National Cat Day after all. All right, boss. Luna's going to go first. I'm sorry she's asserting her dominance. But we hit the goal of 5 teal super chats. Isn't that great? Hey. Whoa. Guys, it's National Cat Day. No fighting. I guess boss is like, yo, I'm not taking anything today. He straight up was like, that's mine. All right, guys, I started another goal. Great. Now I'm going to be obsessed with super chat goals. Oh, is it glitched? Why isn't it working? Damn it, this one was supposed to be funny. Let me see if it lets me do it on here. There we go. We got a new goal coming in hot. I like this system. Come on, guys. You don't want to see it happen now, do you? We don't want to see this happen, do we? Oh man. YouTube, please start doing more stuff. Start doing more stuff. Oh, I'm sorry, Luna. I got to give you more treats. Boss took your treats. There you go. Boss, I can't believe you would be so aggressive. Should have made it $500. Is there... wait, there's no way there's a typo. Damn it! I won't buy and Xbox. Oops. I gotta restart the goal. Hold on. Stupid YouTube. There we go. Now it's just glitched. All right. MBG, are you testing out seating arrangements for when you formally introduce Mrs. MBG? I don't know. Am I? Probably not. But I'll let you think what you want, Silent Spartan. I will let you think what you want. There we go. All right. The goal's been updated. You get a $100 donation. I won't buy an Xbox. That's your reward. All right. We'll be wrapping this up in a couple minutes. I want to go check to see if anything else has come out, though. What other... any more updates? You know what, dude? You know what I just realized? Like, when we see the secret level series come out for Amazon, like, we're gonna see an episode for Concord, and like the studio literally shut down before that episode even aired. That's nuts. That's actually crazy to think about. Not even just the game shutting down. The entire studio shut down. And that'll be the last thing we ever see of Concord. Do you think that's the episode that Arnold did a voiceover for? Don't make me do it. Don't make me get an Xbox. If somebody doesn't drop a $100 donation, I'm going to have no choice. Don't make me do it. Sorry for the dead air. I'm just seeing if there's anything I missed. If so, we'll cover more tomorrow. We'll cover whatever I missed tomorrow or Thursday. Not seeing anything. All right. All right. Well, that's it. I'm going to have to buy an Xbox. Somebody couldn't come through. Dude, it's so funny seeing people come in here like, yo, does MBG know that Firewalk shut down? No, I didn't. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Nero says, I'm sick of eating ramen noodles. Sorry, MBG. Yeah. You know, ramen noodles, they taste really good. You know, they're really bad for you, but they do taste really good. Ramen does taste really good. Can't deny that. Unholy Mayhem says, I'm happy with PlayStation and Switch. Mrs. MBG breaking out the Mark Cerny emote. Fascinating. Fascinating. All right, guys. That does it for today's stream. I appreciate you tuning in. And before I head out, I do want to thank everybody for your support. Really interesting thing that YouTube's added here with this goal. I don't know if I'll use it that often. I'll have to think about it. I don't know. I mean, I have goals set for like the members. So I would have to do like, I guess, different goals, like, you know, rewards or whatever for super chats. And I'm not sure what I would do yet. So I'll have to think about it. But Shems, you're saying I should use it. It does seem pretty cool. Like it's a nice little incentive, you know. And you know, the thing is, like, we get super chats anyway. So I just want to make sure that if people are going to do that, I want to make sure I can do something, you know. I don't know what it'll be. Maybe it'll be something stupid. I don't know. All right. But guys, thank you so much for all the support. To everybody who dropped the super chat today, if anybody re-upped their membership, means a lot. Couldn't do what I do here without your support. I also want to make sure to give a shout out to Devil Shooter. He does the timestamps for all of the streams. He does a great job. So if you guys see him in the comments, give him some thanks, show him some love. I know he really appreciates it. And Devil Shooter, thank you for what you do. And yeah, we'll be back here either tomorrow or Thursday. I think Thursday is actually Halloween. Maybe we could do a Halloween stream. But we'll definitely be talking more in depth about this topic. And we'll be talking about other topics as well. I'm assuming more is going to be happening and more info. I'm mainly curious to see if we get even more inside info about the situation. And, you know, it'll be nice to kind of bring that to the table. But all right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, evening, or night. And just do me a favor and hit that like button on your way out. And yeah, I'm gonna go grab my Xbox now because you guys failed me. You know I just kind of dropped it on you at the last minute. In the next 15 minutes, if you don't do it, I'm gonna buy an Xbox. But all right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. I will catch you in the next stream. So until then, take care, everyone. Oh, and actually, hold on, I forgot to end this poll. There we go. All right. Take care, everyone. I'll catch you in the next one.